Now that Chris and his girlfriend Rose have reached the meet the parents milestone of dating, she invites him for a weekend getaway upstate with her parents. At first, Chris reads the family's overly accommodating behaviour as nervous attempts to deal with their daughter's interracial relationship, but as the weekend progresses, a series of increasingly disturbing discoveries lead him to a truth that he never could have imagined. Welcome to another feature presentation episode of Midnight Double Feature, and on this episode, we invite you to journey into the sunken place with us and our special guest, friend of the show and one of the hosts over at Liberty Street Geek Podcasting Network, Matthew Anderson, as we cover 2017's Get Out, written and directed by Jordan Peele. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the fucking show. Colin, say howdy.
Hello, everyone.
That was very cordial. Dude, this is a fucking special one for us, man. Like, this is like... And Colin, I'll slide right over so you can join in on the Suckfest.
Oh, yeah, sure. Go ahead.
We're covering Get Out by Jordan Peele, which is a movie that I've been wanting to cover for a very long time. Number two, though, and probably the most fucking important, we have with us someone who is instrumental in like helping us start Midnight Double Feature. And like, if there's no LSG Media, there's no Midnight Double Feature. Like, Colin wouldn't have reached out to me like via any Facebook. He's like, who the fuck is this Zoheb guy? But more than that, man, like, he's a friend of the show, and he's a friend to us. Matthew Anderson, dude, how you doing?
Hello, I'm doing good.
Golf clap, golf clap.
This is by the way, this is my first guest spot on any other podcast ever.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, that's interesting.
I bow and I accept. Absolutely.
Yeah, it went really well because, you know, Matt heard our episodes. He's like, dude, please, can I come on? And we're like, yeah, I guess. But no, I'm just kidding.
Fine.
We reached out to Matt, and Matt was gracious enough to accept. And we'd love to have everybody from LSG on here eventually, just because, I mean, like you said, without LSG, there is no Midnight Double Feature. And, you know, it was really instrumental in getting us started. I mean, I literally talked to Matt we had like an hour-long conversation one day just about, like, oh yeah, you need to get this, and this is how you get set up, so you know you don't sound like a fucking basement podcast and shit. And yeah, and you know, I've always turned to Matt if I've got questions about things, you know, like we talked about before the Django podcast and stuff. So yeah, I'm excited that you're here, and he's a great guy and an even better podcaster. So welcome.
Aw,
for sure,
sweet.
dude.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Sure. Dude, we're stoked to have you here. Little fact. So there are four hosts on LSG Media. And I've met the other three. I've never met you.
Yeah, I'm so far away.
Dude, that was funny because like I was stopping over in LA and I had no idea where you were. And I was like, hey, want to come meet me? And you're like, yeah, sure. It's like 8 hours away.
That's right. See you in a couple days.
Oh, fucking hell.
Next time.
But no, man, seriously, thanks heaps for joining us, man. We are, we've been a fan of LSG Media for a very long time. Our listeners are probably sick of us plugging you guys.
They're like, oh, is this that asshole they've been talking about? He's not that funny. Yeah. No, this is going to be fun. I am looking forward to this. And this was an awesome choice of a movie. I'm so boned up to be talking about it.
You hear that, Colin? It was an awesome choice.
Yeah,
it was me.
You.
It was my choice. But yeah, man, like let's say, do you want to fucking just dive right into it? Like dive into our thoughts on this bitch?
Yeah.
Fucking oath. All right. Matt, you can start us off, man. What do you think about Get Out?
Ooh, boy. Big question. Well,
it is a big question, actually. I've been pondering it, yeah.
And it's a funny movie to try and talk about because it's like such a movie of its moment. You know, it is like a very, you know, before I even get into the specifics of this movie, I think it's a really cool example. I would put it up there with like It Follows and The Invitation too, of like, I personally think we are getting into a new age of like great horror movies, because
fuck yes,
like I don't know about you guys, but like I grew up really big on horror movies, watching all the old like classic stuff, like, you know, all the Freddy movies, the Jason movies, Halloween, Michael Myers, all that shit. Was really big on it, especially the zombie stuff. But as I was like getting into like teenage years and in high school, I was like, wait a minute, all the horror movies I love are from like the 70s and 80s. And there were just no new horror movies. Like, dude, I don't know about you guys, but do you remember like the mid 2000s just being such a wasteland of garbage? Like there was,
oh boy, yes.
Like, Jennifer's body. Awesome. Let's all go talk about that. Like, who gives a shit? Like, there was just
Freddy versus Jason, titties.
I love that movie.
Dude,
it's fucking fun.
Of those movies, that one was like by far one of the most watchable. But yeah, there was just like a weird era, a run there of just not very good, very mediocre. Like they all tried to copy The Ring and they did it terribly. And it was like, oh, it's psychological and maybe he actually did it the whole time. Like that was the fucking format of every horror movie for like 8 years. And we're finally getting this like real cool twists and actually good storytelling. And it's fucking good. I mean, this movie was nominated for Oscars and it's a horror movie. I was like,
it won one.
Which one did it win?
Yeah, it won screenplay. Jordan Peele, writer.
Oh, that's
Best original. Best original
kick-ass.
screenplay. Yeah, that's fucking awesome, dude. Because I watched that. I mean, like, I'm a snob. I watch the Oscars live.
I have such a love-hate relationship with the Oscars. There are times I'm like, oh, fantastic, they got it right. They picked Moonlight. Good for them. And then I'll still never forgive them for fucking giving us Shakespeare in Love over Saving Private Ryan. I'm like, get fucked. Fucking Academy Awards, dog shit.
For sure.
But no, this long-winded way of coming back to, I think this is one of the new crop of like excellent horror movies, and I think Jordan Peele. I mean, his next movie is going to be a horror. I think he's going to be one of the big directors in this like whole genre, and I'm excited about it. I think this is just a solidly well-made horror movie. But the other side of it is that it's very much unapologetically about race, and that makes it like it's the forefront of this movie and the horror of it. But it's interesting to talk about because some people want to dive completely into that side of it, like how is it a social commentary? How is it a commentary about race? And it's an excellent one, but it's also, I never want people to forget, I'm like, it's also just an excellent horror movie. Like it's just a really well-made horror movie, and I think it's a smart one. And dude, I love it. It's great, slow, creepy reveals. It's so good at setting up this like atmosphere of dread where you're like, something's wrong. I don't know what. And it's such a great slow burn of a movie that gets, of course, crazy as shit at the very end. But I think it's great. It's a psychological story. It's a story about race that I actually think is also pretty good for a white person, at least, getting you in the mindset of like, oh fuck, that's what it's like. That's how awkward it can be, and shitty and weird and rude and just like everybody's ignorant as shit and it's weird and awful. It's so good, dude. It puts you right in the space and makes you feel it. It's awesome. I really enjoyed this. I saw it in the theater. I was glad I got to see it there, and I haven't gotten to watch it since. So this is only my second viewing, and so I'm all like amped up on it again.
Nice, awesome. Fucking Colin, hit me with your thoughts. Okay, because you've been pissing me off with this movie. And I'm just gonna fucking lead right into it. You haven't seen this movie before this watch.
Never.
That hurts me so much.
Well, yeah, because it's hilarious. Because you're like, hey man, have you seen Get Out? I'm like, no, but dude, you have got to watch RoboCop 2 because that is so dog shit. Like,
yeah, you messaged me the other day. Let's do RoboCop 2, and I'm like, oh, what, and you still haven't seen Get Out?
Oh yeah, dude. I'll literally, Lindsay and I last night watched House of the Dead. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. We're talking
based on the video game.
Yes,
yeah,
dude.
It's terrible.
Yui Ball, right?
Shit, I didn't even look. I ended up falling asleep like halfway through it. But this is, such a level 9 dumpster fire. I was like, holy shit. But getting back to an actually good horror movie, Get Out. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I do wish I'd have seen it sooner. I'm not like, oh my God, it's just such a missed opportunity. But it's like, yeah, I would have liked to have seen this in theaters. This is a good movie. Lindsay and I watched it. We both really enjoyed it. And because it totes a really good line in between, like what Matt said, social commentary and just being a straight up horror movie, and especially with the alternate ending that they have to it. I like the choices that they made. I don't know if you guys saw the alternate ending, but the one that they went with in the movie, I think is like far superior. I think the other one is a little bit, that's a lot more of social commentary and the prison system and things like that. But all in all, I liked it a lot. I think that this is the kind of stuff. I think M. Night Shyamalan wishes he could make a movie like this.
That's true.
I think that there's so much of this that I'm watching, and I'm like, this feels very Shining. This feels very being John Malkovich. It feels like a lot of different things, but at the same time, the best part about it is you can never quite just put your finger on it and say, oh, it's like this. It right when you're about to put your finger on it, it just does this evade, and it does something different, and it keeps me on my toes to the point where a lot of movies don't stress me out. I don't, because you watch so many movies, you start to understand formulas and things like that, and you get kind of desensitized to things like that. Like when the music kicks up, you're like, okay, they're wanting me to feel something here. What are they showing me? I can't help but be that kind of like analytical about things. It's like once you know the magic trick, right. But this thing really kept me guessing, even though I knew what a lot of it was about. I had a little bit of it explained to me, but just the fact that it's great because it's one of those movies where it's got a lot of mystery to it, and you're always asking questions the whole time. And every little thing, once you go back and watch it the second time, all the stuff from the first viewing makes so much sense. There's so much stuff that's like, oh, that's blah blah blah. That's why this character decided to do this. And once you're in on the quote unquote joke, so to speak, of what these people are actually doing and why he's there, you start to understand a lot of stuff from the first time that you saw it. But I really enjoyed it a lot. I think that if this is any indication, if it's any indication of what Jordan Peele is set to do, then he's perfect to do the Twilight Zone. That's, he's set up perfect to do that. It is so surreal, especially the scenes in the sunken place. I was like, dude, it feels like I'm a kid and I'm watching 90s Outer Limits again. It's like I feel like I'm just sucked into this bizarro kind of like world. And it's great. He sets anticipation or just makes you feel, just really restless the whole time. And I'm like, okay, what is going on? Like, can somebody please give me a fucking answer? Like, I kind of even know what's going on, but I just need it. Like, I need someone to sit down and kind of like tell you, which, you kind of get that scene later on. And I was finally like, thank God. But the fact that it made me feel that way when a lot of movies actually don't really kind of showed me something. And obviously the parts of social commentary, on race. And I love the way that it's portrayed because it's not just like, oh, there's a black dude and he's like, I don't like you because you're black. There's all these things. Oh, with your genetic makeup and this and that. It's always like offhanded racist remarks that they don't. It's just an ignorant thing that they don't think. They think it's almost like a compliment. Oh, my man, and blah blah blah, and given like the pound it, and oh, I voted for Obama. The person who's trying so hard to seem cool, to seem woke.
Or just straight up, black is the new. What was he say? Black is the new. He's like
black is very fashionable. Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my God.
What? Right. But yeah, it's a great movie. I was surprised by it. I'm very cautious of movies like this just because anything that does have some kind of social commentary behind it, where it's a heavy part of it, I get cautious of things like that. Just not because of any set political beliefs or anything like that. I like to keep my politics separate from my entertainment a lot, and sometimes it's impossible to do that, and sometimes it's really well done, like in this case. And I'm glad that I watched it, and I'm glad that I didn't let kind of my preconceived notions of movies with kind of meaning and social commentary behind them get to me. And I enjoyed it. I really like it a lot. I think I'll probably end up buying this. I think it'll end up in the collection. But I'm not like rushing out to buy it right this second, but it is great. Thank you for fucking making me watch it finally.
Hey, I fucking won one. Hey, awesome.
Yeah, you get one of those a year, you fucker.
Great. See you next Halloween. But no, man. So, as usual, I like to sort of talk a little bit about the director first. Jordan Peele, dude. This guy, I was a fan of Jordan Peele before this movie, and I know that sounds like a fucking hipster thing to say. Oh, I used to like him before he became famous.
Douchebag.
Yeah, I know. But no, I was really familiar with Key and Peele because he was, he always works with Keegan-Michael Key, and he was in Fargo with Keegan-Michael Key in the first season. He's done a whole bunch of stuff, man, but it's always been comedy. And when I heard about Get Out, I was kind of skeptical. I was like, oh yeah, I don't really know. And then like everyone was telling me to go see this like immediately, and I was just like, all right, let me go check this shit out. And dude, I fucking loved it. Like Jordan Peele's, even his comedy and Keegan-Michael Key's comedy is very racially slanted, so I knew it was going to be sort of a commentary on race on race. But I didn't expect a Hitchcockian horror movie. Like this is absolutely one of my favorite horror movies in the last sort of decade or so. And I think Matt, you completely hit the nail on the head. Horror movies these days are getting better and better. Like look at A Quiet Place. Like have you seen that? Like that's
one of my most anticipated ones that I still haven't seen.
But see, it's just a whole level of. It's another level of creating tension, and like these movies, man, It Follows, Get Out, A Quiet Place, they just know how to build tension and they know how to build suspense, and they know how to execute the horror elements, and they're just so well done, man. Like but yeah, man, this movie is incredible. It's just so it just draws you in immediately. Like you guys said. This is the shit thing about going third, because you guys have said everything already. There's just something not quite right there. Like you don't know exactly what you're in for, but you kind of have like an inkling. That's also another achievement, man. This one, best original screenplay. Like think about how hard it is to write an original horror movie these days. Look, I'm sure this concept is out there somewhere in previous movies somewhere, but I've never seen it. I really like this idea of, you're trapped in your own body while you're kind of like watching like like someone else is controlling your brain, like your body. That's fucking awesome. Have you guys seen that idea anywhere?
I mean, outside of like what you said, Colin, like Being John Malkovich is the movie that I go to first when I think of that it's a great movie. But that concept of being locked away in your own body while you're watching somebody else control it. But that movie is so, it's going about it at a completely different direction. It's not a horror. It's, very different way. Like the way this movie latches on to that concept and uses it is, I think, fantastic. And also, I wanted to add, kind of what you were saying, Colin. I think this might be one of the best examples I can think of having an interesting kind of satirical commentary and an agenda, but that's not the main, it's there and it's interwoven as an integral part of the story, but they're not just beating you over the head with it. It's not like you see, I can't think of a good counter example, but there are times where you can tell, like, okay, this person was way more concerned with how can I just throw my agenda at you and I don't really care about how the story is. Whereas this was like, I'm going to tell a great story and there will also be commentary within it. Like, it's just a solidly written story.
Well, that's right. Like, it doesn't... Yeah, exactly. It doesn't beat you over the head with it and things like that. But, like, dude, this watch as well, because I've seen this about a good 5-6 times now. I adore this movie. But the last few watches, I kind of picked up, man, this is... As much as it is a horror movie, it's also a really dark comedy. It is, like the comedy elements. Like, I'm not talking about his friend Rod, like, who is an outright like hilarious. Like, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just the kind of meet the parents aspects of it. Exactly. Yeah. Like, dude, like that right there is a horror movie. Meeting the parents of your girlfriend, like that already right there. That's your hook. Everyone's familiar with that shit.
And not just that, but you're gonna go to their house for the weekend and be stuck there. Like, it's not like, hey, we're gonna drop by their apartment and say hi and have dinner and go home. Like, nah, you're stuck. Maybe this is gonna suck for days. Strange people are rocking up, and like it just escalates and escalates until like it just explodes into like a violent fucking thing. It's awesome, man. It's a great movie, and I'm really keen to see his next movie. I think it's called Us. I'm really stoked. But yeah, Twilight Zone. This guy's fucking getting work. Like,
did you ever watch the cartoon Gargoyles back in the day?
Ooh, hell yeah, I did.
Dude, he's talking about doing gargoyles, which if any of our listeners don't, it's just a 90s kids cartoon about these gargoyles that during the night they come alive and during the day they turn to stone. It's like something Warrior by Night or something like that. It was awesome. I loved it as a kid, but
I did too.
Just to see somebody touch on that again, I was like, holy shit! Like, I mean, how old were you when that was coming out? You know, like Jordan Peele, I didn't think that you would be a fan of something like that. You know, and I mean, because I think. His partner from Key is it what's his partner's name?
Keegan-Michael Key.
Keegan-Michael Key. Yeah, I remember him from Mad TV back in the day, and like seeing him. He was kind of one of the late like comers to that show in like the early 2000s. I remember thinking he was fucking hilarious, and you know, I've seen him kind of get a bad rap from like Dave Chappelle, you know, where he was talking about, you know, oh yeah, I paved the way for you guys and blah blah blah, and I'm like, dude, I feel like I mean, and God knows Chappelle Show is like a cultural phenomenon. That's some of the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. But Key and Peele is just such a different thing, and I like to see that he's not just sticking with comedy, you know, that he can actually kind of break away from that and do something that's a little bit different, because you know, it's really hard to do to do comedy, and I think that once you tackle comedy, doing something that's a little bit more serious like this, not necessarily that it's easy, but if you're skilled enough to tackle comedy, I want to see how skilled enough you are to tackle, you know, horror or drama or anything outside of that.
For sure,
and that's what I really like about this.
For sure, dude. Just to close out my thoughts, man. Again, awesome movie. I wanted to talk about. Do you guys know what inspired this movie?
Ooh, no.
So apparently it was a bit in Eddie Murphy's Delirious.
Oh, okay.
So Murphy like talks about why white people just don't leave the house when a ghost shows up.
Oh yeah.
He's like, this is a quote: "In the Amityville Horror, the ghost told him to get out of the house." Now that's a hint, and that's a hint and a half for you assholes. If a ghost says "get the fuck out," I was just tip the fuck out the door. Which is true, man. I'm like, why don't you just get the fuck out of there? And like, also, this is another thing. Why do black people always get killed first in horror movies? Like, come on.
Right.
That's it. I love how this, I mean, and it's so funny, like what you were saying earlier too, Zoe, like how often it's hard to make an original horror movie because of any genre in film. I can't think of a more self-referential one than horror.
Yes.
Like they're always making homages to each other and playing on the tropes and stereotypes of horror movies. I mean, the name of this movie, Get Out, like, which is what you're always screaming at every fucking character in every horror movie. Like, why are you walking down to the basement where you can't leave? Get out! Like, what are you doing? Like, it's just it's already kind of poking fun at the like setup of horror movies, and of course, of the black characters, always the first one to be like, "Hold on, guys, I'm gonna go outside and see what that noise was," and get stabbed to death for no reason.
Mm-hmm. And white people always want to split up. Like, come on.
Exactly.
Like, seriously. But that's my thoughts on it. What do you guys say we dive into this bitch?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Fucking awesome. Dude, this opening scene, it immediately grabbed me with the long shot, the tracking shot. Any shot like this gets my attention immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this shit is John Carpenter as fuck. I was like, I love that shot. I love me some Carpenter, man.
It is. We meet Andre Hayworth, who comes back later. He's on the phone in a very affluent suburb and, gets fucking kidnapped.
Yeah. Have either of you guys watched Atlanta at all?
No,
I've seen...
It's really good. But he's this guy, Lakeith Stanfield, is one of the main dudes on that show. And he's this, like, stoner dude who's also, like, you think he might have, like, the Sixth Sense. It's, like, really surreal and weird, and he's hilarious. But yeah, I loved seeing him pop up in this. But dude, I love how quick this scene breaks bad. And you also, it's cool too because you think he's gonna make the right decision because he's like, you know what, fuck this, I'm turning around, I'm going home, I'm not doing this. Like, he starts walking away. Only to get nabbed by Allison Williams' brother.
But dude, it you know what? This comes back because like you get a fucking Milton from Office Space later talks about how his wrangling methods are a bit more fucking hard out than Allison's, and it's just true. Kind of like you see his methods here. It's great. It's great.
Just straight grab him and headlock him and throw him into your car.
Dude, yeah, for sure. Like, and the do you see the mask here? The crazy Knights fucking Templar mask?
Yeah, dude, that shit is so creepy looking.
That's wild, man. Another thing as well. Apparently, Jordan Peele says, this is a quote, apparently it's about the Holy Grail.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. According to Peele, the order, the order, the family order, they believe they are destined for immortality and deity status. And over hundreds of years, they have worked to figure out through science a way to achieve the power of the Holy Grail. Interesting.
Wow, see, I was thinking it was some like weird reference to the KKK, how they used to think of themselves as knights and like this armor thing. And I was like, is that what that is?
That's what I thought too, man. And the son is kind of like fucking weird. He's a weird dude.
Yeah, he looks like a Workaholics extra. I was like, dude, the guys from Workaholics are God. What have happened to them?
That kid, I've seen this kid in a few things. He was in X-Men First Class.
That's right. He was
Banshee.
Banshee, yeah.
Yeah. He was also in something more. Oh, he was in 3 Billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri. He gets fucking tossed out the fucking window.
That's right. He's that guy. He gets his ass kicked.
Yeah. But no. Dude, another thing I really like about this movie, the music.
Yeah.
Because as they're driving away, the music just kind of drops out, and we just get this violin.
Yeah, like shit, strange, like dissonant chords, and then it turns into like the like kind of like gospel-y sounding voices, but they sound like they're at the bottom of a well in hell.
Oh god damn it! You couldn't have put it any. See, Colin, we're about to look like shit podcasters right now.
Oh yeah, no, that's why I'm not saying anything, dude. Get with the program. No, I'm just kidding. No, I love the music, especially not only just the stuff that's like the actual score for the film, but this Run Rabbit Run song that's playing, and then immediately in the scene after this, we get that It's Too Late. And I was like, that's fucking good, man. That's a good song too. As soon as it started playing, I was like, okay, cool. Like I like it because they're kind of setting a mood with that at the very beginning of just kind of calming you down a little bit with the music right after this kind of intense scene.
Right.
Which this whole opening scene kind of reminded me of the beginning of It Follows a little bit at first, because it opens up on a street. We're in a suburb. It's a one shot. It's basically all done in one shot. I was like, wow, I feel like I just saw this. It's like it kind of reminded me of that a little bit, but just a totally different kind of outcome from it. I was like, that's cool. I like that a lot.
For sure, dude. But we meet Chris Washington and Rose Armitage. Chris Washington is Daniel Kaluuya, so he was nominated for an Oscar for this, but I'd seen him in Sicario before this.
Yeah.
In that role as a partner. He was pretty good in that, but he went on to be in Black Panther after this. Like he's working his way. He's working his way up. I haven't seen Alison Williams in anything though.
I think she was in Girls. That's the only thing I've seen her in.
I watched almost all of Girls. I don't think I finished the last season. She's okay. Let me say it this way: she's really good on that show. She's also that good on that show. But I fucking hate her character on that show. And I'm like, maybe to her credit as an actress, that every time I see her, I'm still kind of like, ugh, because I just hate her character on that show so much. But I'm like, that's not her fault. She was just doing her job really well.
But you know what? She's very hateable in this as well.
Oh, absolutely, she is.
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm looking at her, I'm like, okay, so I'm just going to call her not Jennifer Connelly the whole time, because she fucking looks just like Jennifer Connelly to me. And just the whole time I was looking at her, I was like, what is she from? I know her from something, but it's like she just kind of looks like a collage of actresses to me. I'm like, she reminds me of someone, but that's not who I think it is.
Daughter of Brian Williams.
Do
you guys know that?
She's daughter of Brian. I don't know who Brian Williams is.
NBC nightly news anchor who's now been fired because he lied.
Oh shit!
I'm not gonna know that. International references, Matthew. Come on.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You're in that upside down land down there. The second place on the bottom of the continent.
Yeah.
The world.
Now, last time I checked on Australia, you guys were fighting for gasoline, and no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, there's fucking Fury Road happening outside. But no, she actually looks like Jennifer Carpenter to me, from Dexter. The sister. No? Okay, we'll fucking move along. Right?
Yeah, fuck you. No, I'm just...
You pieces of shit. But basically they're talking about this trip upstate and to meet her parents. And he asks, hey, do they know I'm black? She's like, yeah, you're the, whatever. And you're the first black guy I've dated, which is important. Which is fucking important.
Right. Like, that's honestly, this is one of the first times in the movie where that really is like, I know I'm a white dude, but that's some white people shit where she's all like, it doesn't even matter. Like, shut up. Like, you don't have to be weird about it. But like, you can say it. You can say he's a black dude. Like, you can mention that. And, like, obviously he's the one who's bringing it up. Like, look, like, you should say that. Like, let's not act like it's not something that exists.
Right, yeah. I was watching this with Lindsay, and Lindsay's like, even if their parents, what she's giving the impression that her parents are just some of the most progressive people on the planet. Even if they're that progressive, it's different what you think of someone who's black versus someone who's black dating your daughter. Like, that's a very different thing. You have no idea what the parents' kind of reaction can be to that. Right. Especially, I mean, Matt, fucking living in the South, you fucking know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought that was really telling and really interesting because it is. It's something like you said, she's like, oh, it's not really that important or blah, blah, blah. But in the back of this guy's mind, I mean, I kind of feel like this is not the first white girl that he's dated before. That this is, I mean, obviously this has happened before at some point, and just that she tries to blow this off, and this is something that's can be a what do you want to call it, a deal breaker, for the parents, even if they want to act as woke as oh no, we're cool and blah blah blah, still it's
we're
different,
cool, my man, it's all cool.
Right. it's different when it's staying there,
Right. And you know what it makes me think of? Did you guys ever used to watch the Colbert Report back when he had the show on Comedy Central?
Ooh, oh yeah, bits and pieces.
Oh man, he had always such a great bit on there. I always thought it was such a nice little piece of satire. Is he always acted like, oh, I don't even see race. Like he'd have a black guest on. He's like, well, I don't see race. I'm completely colorblind. I don't see race at all. And I'm like, that is such a perfect shitty white liberal. I don't even see race. It just doesn't even matter. I'm like, don't act like you can't. Like it doesn't even exist. That's so annoying.
Yeah, just right. I mean, it obviously exists. Like I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. You know what I just realized? And by the way, this is the poster child for progression. The word progression. I'm talking to two Southerners, and I am not white.
And we haven't hated you yet.
Yes. Yeah, meanwhile, Colin's over there sharpening his pitchfork.
Yeah, I told listeners don't know this, but I only got Zoheb because he's brown, and once I realized he wasn't black, I couldn't go back. I was like, fuck. So I just decided, I was like, fuck. He's not white. Okay, whatever, that'll work. That'll give me some.
It'll do.
Yeah, that'll give me some street cred.
Yeah. Well, as the two white guys from the South, I think we are the ones to give the definitive opinion on the racial tensions of,
We are not fist pumping, by the way. But yeah, they're driving along, and we get to meet Rod. Rod is hilarious. I think Rod's hilarious. He brings a good if you don't pick up on the satirical comedy of the movie, then this is what's going to get you. You know what I mean? But I also think he should have been played by Jordan Peele, man. I was like, Jordan, you look almost exactly like this guy, and we know you've got the comedic chops. I was like, come on, man. You couldn't have acted in this, dude.
I think he was doing the humble thing. He's like, well, this is my first movie. I don't think I should write, direct, and have a part in it. Maybe I'm just going to, step to the side. But I think you're right. He would have nailed this part just fine.
He would have. Yeah, he would have too. But Chris is basically telling him how to feed his dog. No human food.
He got IBS.
Yeah. And then they hit a fucking deer.
Ooh. Dude, I love the scene for two reasons. Obviously when they hit the deer, the sound that the fucking deer is making. Now,
wait, you know who that is?
Yeah, fuck, goddamn it, Zoe. I was getting to that. No, I'm just kidding. No, not only is it fucking terrifying, in the way that sounds just that, that's Jordan Peele, and it's holy shit, just to make that. I saw him on a Reddit AMA that I watched about this, and I was like, oh god, I love that. I love when people go in there and just do the sounds naturally, and just something. It's kind of like David Bowie in Labyrinth. The baby wouldn't cry, so David Bowie just made the baby sounds in the studio right there. I was like, holy shit, man, that's fucking awesome. I loved seeing that kind of stuff. I'm an audio kind of sound effect nerd like that sometimes.
Yeah, no, if I could have a second career, I might go down the path of a Foley artist, because that shit sounds so fun.
Oh yeah, that shit's cool.
Oh dude, just every time everything comes back to Jurassic Park for me, and the way they made the sounds for the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. Oh my god. But yeah, what do you guys think of this deer scene, dude? This is Chris gets fucking fucking shattered here, man. Like it actually is kind of heartbreaking to watch. Like every time I see like an animal that's in pain like that, I'm like, oh god. Like whenever I hear someone like going hunting, I'm just like, well, no one hunts here. Oh well, not anyone know, but like whenever I listen to like Rogan's podcast, because he like
he loves hunting.
He's a hunter, and like he's always talking about hunting. He's always talking about, you know, make sure you go in for like the clean kill. You don't want to put it in agony and shit like that. What do you guys think is the sort of metaphor here? Like, is the deer supposed to be all black people? I think that's what I mean. Kind of, you know. I took
it as like his mom, you know, because here's another death in front of him, and you know, just seeing the same kind of laying there on this, because it's a hit and run, just like his mom. You know, you get hit, you're laying on the side of the road, you're dying alone, just like lying there in agony. You know, because he kind of says that later on about his mom. That's just my opinion. I mean, that's what's fucking great about film.
Yeah, you know what? That actually makes more fucking sense. Maybe I'm just a racist.
Oh, you can't be racist. You're brown. No, I'm just kidding.
That's true.
You get that free pass,
dude. Yeah, I think it would be hilarious to have Zoheb down here in Tennessee, just because like there's so many people here that I know we actually have a large demographic of people who are Muslim and you know, Filipino. Like I work with several, and they're like, dude, I can't tell you how many people just think I'm Mexican, and I was like, Jesus Christ, dude, Jesus fucking Christ. But I'm
still bringing my bulletproof vest.
Yeah, I like this scene a lot. Just because, you know, not only of the thing getting hit, but later on their conversation with the cop. But I don't want to go too far ahead. What do you guys think of this before I get to that?
You know, I pretty much on a second viewing now see it kind of the way you have, Colin, of like, this is another time where he's watching something suffer and die on the side of the road that he can't help, and like the way it zooms right into his eyes, like, you know, every time he sees something like that, he's thinking about his mom and how helpless he was, powerless to do anything about it, I think.
Yeah, you know what? That fucking makes more sense. I'm a fucking idiot.
Well, I was going to say the thing that really I don't know if you guys caught this. I didn't catch this. I read some things with interviews with Jordan Peele where he was talking about the police officer that comes up. You know, he asked him for his driver's license. You know, and they're like, oh, you know, and of course, you know, she Rose, she automatically jumps in and she's like, no, why do you need that? Blah blah blah. You know, I
know what you're about to say now.
Yeah, because basically she doesn't want anybody ever identifying him. She doesn't want anybody to see his name or register that he's with her. I didn't catch any of that at first. Right. I just thought, you know, because you're not, you know, you're not expecting, once you see things from her side of things, you know, once you kind of realize what camp she really allies in, everything about this movie, even Jordan Peele said that, he's like, go back and watch it again, everything will mean something different now. And I'm like, God, I love that shit, man. That's like some fucking Kevin Spacey Usual Suspects, like crazy kind of shit. I just fucking love that
shit.
Yeah, I've been Soze'd.
There are so many layers to this interaction that I like so much, like the way each of them approaches it too. And I think one of the smartest things about it, especially on a first-time viewing, that it makes you feel like, oh, maybe she really is kind of like on his side and she's standing up for him. She's one of the good guys. It like adds a little notch in that direction for you at first. But even the way he handles it, like he's not getting defensive. He's like, yeah, I'm used to this. Like this is kind of what happens. Okay, here's my, you know, he's ready to hand his ID over. But like you guys have already pointed out, it's perfect because she gets to seem like she's defending him and probably makes him feel a little more comfortable too. And gets to hide her trail of like, I'm actually just don't want you to know where I took this guy and that he's out here with me.
Especially a cop. Like if a cop says his ID and then like says, you know, gets a missing persons report, he's going to be like, oh shit, yeah, I know where they were headed. Exactly. Like, you know what I mean? Just a quick question. What do you guys think of Daniel Kaluuya in this movie?
I think he's really good in this. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was great. Just kind of, I'd never seen him in anything before, and just to, I think it's great on Jordan Peele just to grab somebody who's somewhat of an unknown at the time, you know, and just let them like blow them up like that. Didn't know that he was British either. Kind of crazy,
right? Yeah. No, I remember
I didn't know that.
The thing that blew me away about it was that I had forgotten. I'd seen Sicario first, and then I saw this, and then when I watched Sicario again later, I was like, oh shit, that's the guy from Get Out, and I didn't realize it the first time I was watching Get Out because he's playing, I think, a younger guy. guy. Like, he's supposed to be like 26 in this. And I mean, he's like a fairly veteran SWAT officer in Sicario, and he seems older. Like, in my mind, I thought that's a guy who's like 36. And in this movie, I'm like, this guy's like 25, 26. And he just seems younger in this. So I was like, oh, that's cool.
Oh, yeah, dude, the way everyone carries themselves in Sicario, like, you'd think they're all like hardened veteran, like, career
Exactly.
government people, you know what I mean? Yeah, dude, that interaction is wild. I watched it with my dad last night, and my dad couldn't get past the initial sort of thing where it's just like, well, because I had that reaction too in the cinema. I was like, oh shit, man, this is crazy the way they're asking him for his ID. She's so right. And then I turned to my dad because he's seen it before, so I could spoil it for him. I'm like, but wait. Check out what she's saying and check out the way she's saying it. She's so like adamant to not reveal the license. Like she's so adamant to not get this guy identified. It's fucking great, man.
This is my trophy.
He's mine. It's kind of like George Lucas with the Star Wars property. back.
Oh my!
We rock up to the Armitage property and we meet Walter. This guy is both Walter and Georgina are unsettling, man.
Right.
They are just they're so well played. I think that actress and that actor, Betty Gabriel and Marcus Henderson, they're fucking fantastic.
Yeah, and another to me really smart kind of red herring is that it makes them seem like the terrifying characters themselves. Like you're like, wait, are they the menace here? Like it's kind of setting you up to feel that way. The way it shows us driving past him, the way we pan back and see him watching over this greeting, and you're like, wait, are they what we're supposed to be afraid of? And I remember being really surprised by that. Of like, wait, who's the people we're looking out for here?
For sure, dude. It's definitely a good misdirection, and I think he does play with that a little bit later, especially with that when they're talking about while he's cutting the wood, while he's chopping the wood, and that interaction. But we meet Missy and Dean Armitage, played by Catherine Keener and Bradley Whitford, aka Eric from Billy Madison.
I thought this guy was just Steve Jobs. I didn't. Just looking at him, I was like, oh, cool, Steve Jobs. I'm glad to see he's still around. He's kicking.
Nice.
Yeah, he was in Cabin in the Woods as well?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was in Cabin in the Woods. He's been in a few things. He was in The West Wing for a while. Catherine Keener's been in a few things too. She was in 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Yeah, I really like her.
Yeah, she's in John Malkovich.
Oh, yeah, right. And yeah, I'm looking at that now. And she was in Sicario too.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, connections everywhere.
I know. Look at this, just coming together.
And yet we still haven't found Kevin Bacon. Where the fuck is he?
But yeah, they sit down, have this little conversation. Dean's kind of like going a bit hard here, isn't he? Like he's just he like establishes he's funny. I like him, but
well, one thing I was going to say is we talked earlier about how, what is the meaning of that deer that they'd hit. And, as we were talking about, it's very much, maybe more connected to his mother and his feelings on that. But I think you're right, Zoheb, as far
That's
as...
what I was like, yeah.
The way he talks about deer in this scene, I do not like the deer. I'm sick of it. They're like rats. They're destroying the ecosystem. I see a dead deer on the side of the road, and I think that's a good start. Yikes.
A couple of 100,000 to go. Right. What? It's wild, man. And that's what he starts the conversation off with. You know what I mean?
He's like, yeah, they're taking all our jobs, ruining cities, deer. That's what I'm talking about. Deer.
Oh boy.
They don't took their jobs.
But
so weird.
This is a good interaction. She's right, I'm wrong. It's
I love that. That's great. That was really funny.
It is nice, man. And again, this is also like I said, man, a primal fear of meeting your girlfriend's parents. That already is terrifying in and of itself. Just take away the fact that they're killers and crazy people.
Brain removers.
This is kind of this movie's also really reminiscent of like the Stepford Wives for me. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the remake or the original one. I've only seen like bits and pieces of it, but it kind of just had that, especially with Georgina's character, you know, and the groundskeeper's name. What is his name? You
Walter.
just said it, Walter. Thank you.
Walter. Yeah.
Just the whole like, oh no.
God,
I'm like,
that seems
holy
so creepy.
shit! Like it scared the fuck out of me because I'm like, you could tell me these people were androids and I would believe you, because I feel like it almost Invasion of the Body Snatchers like kind of feel to it.
Totally.
It creeps me the fuck out, especially with with the scene with it's Georgina, right? Am I saying-
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I thought it was Georgia for a second. Especially when Catherine Keener taps on the teacup. I think that's like a little bit later on, but it's kind of like our first indication that there's something fucked up kind of going on here. And I like that because, again, you watch it the second time, you understand what's happening, but right now you don't. And you're like, wait, what just happened? What are you trying to show me? Like, it's great because this movie always is kind of nicely pulling the rug out from underneath you. Right when you think you understand something, there's something else that comes along that's just kind of pushing back a little bit. I fucking love that. I think that's one of the best parts about this movie is the fact that, for people like me who are like, oh, no, I'm going to come in here and figure this movie out. It kind of ends up shattering that for you, and that's great. That's what fucking movies should do.
Exactly.
100%, man. He takes him on this tour, this weird tour, and he shows him a photo frame of the grandfather. Oh, I'm gonna refer to the Georgina. It's weird because Georgina is the grandmother and Walter is the grandfather. So, you know what? I'm just gonna refer to the photo of the grandfather. The grandfather's basically was beaten at the qualifying round of the Olympics in 1936 by Jesse Owens, a black person. And he almost got over it.
Almost.
Well,
Almost.
He
Did you
definitely
guys
doesn't still run as fast as he can at 3 a.m. all night long.
Yeah.
He's totally over it.
Still practicing.
Did you guys catch, I mean, this is obviously later on, but who the grandfather is, like the actor playing him? That's Wilhelm from Seinfeld's George's boss.
Oh, shit.
I did not catch that at all.
I
can't.
He looked familiar.
Dude, there's no way. I was, as soon as I saw him, I was like, Wilhelm. That's just the first thing I fucking like cried out. But yeah, I love this scene, especially with her dad. Her dad's like, greatest president that ever lived. I would have voted for him a third term if I could. I was like, oh my God, dude. Jesus.
The ignorance is like a little bit, it's just there. It's not overly like over the top racist, but
which
it's
is
just
realistic,
there.
which is how it works out. Exactly.
It's like insufferable. It's like, oh God.
Because it's pure pandering. It's like somebody trying to hold your hand and be like, you're great. You know that? I actually really I think you're great. You're like, fuck off. Like, just act normal. Like, stop being so weird.
Mm-hmm.
For sure, dude. But we made Georgina. I love the introduction. My mother loved this kitchen, so we keep a piece of her here. And Georgina's in the kitchen.
Good.
Oh, dude, it's beautiful. It's very... It's so subtle, but it's not. Like, when you watch it a second time, it's like bashing you over the head with it, and I love that. Like, you know what I mean? But yeah, they go outside, and, Chris asks the obvious question about the servants. And he's like, well... Can you imagine how awkward that would be to bring up?
Oh my God.
Like, can you... I'm just like... I'm actually surprised he asked the question this early. But...
Right. Because, I mean, he just brings it up out of nowhere. He's like, oh, I know how it looks. I know. You don't have to believe me.
Yeah, it's wild, man. But then we get this scene, basically, where he's talking about his mother's death to Dean and what's her name? Missy. And she's already trying to like lay the seeds of the psychosis, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Getting started early.
Yeah, man. She's like immediately like invested. She's like, well, we don't have to talk about that. And she stirs she taps the glass, and I'm like, oh god.
And when you think about it too, like they are each of them, like Dean and Missy, she's a psychiatrist, he's a neurosurgeon, like they're already just like sizing him up and figuring him out. They're watching him twitch and like digging into like, why are you twitching? What are you thinking about? Like they're already trying to just like dig around and see if he's going to be like this proper fit.
See, but okay, so I know someone who is a psychologist or a psychiatrist or whatever. I can't fucking remember.
Head doctor.
But yeah, head doctor. But they do this kind of like naturally often. Like they don't realize that they're doing it.
Right.
And I guess a surgeon would be kind of like be in the same way. Like, you know, just right here, he figures out that Chris is jonesing for a cigarette. And he's just like, well, that shit is bad for you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he cares about his body, but he cares about his body in a whole fucking different way that gets revealed later. Because, hey, they want him to be a prime meat bag, pretty much.
Ugh.
Right? Yeah. I also, when they're doing the tour of the house, I love this is something I didn't catch myself, but you know this is something that I heard Jordan Peele talk about in that Reddit AMA when they walked past the basement door. And he's like, oh yeah, we got all that sealed off. You know, there's black mold down there.
I rolled my eyes the first time. I was like, come on, seriously? Like it's like that is so obvious.
Right. Like I mean, and not only first time seeing it. I mean, even if you're not like an avid movie watcher, you're like, all right, well, something fucked up's going on down there. But the fact that it is literally black mold, it's like we have mold of their body, and we're taking that as like we're going to ship ourselves in that mold. I was like, holy shit, like that's fucking literally. I mean, you literally mean black mold. I was like, holy shit. And it's crazy. It's actually really great. It's on YouTube. It's Jordan Peele just answering fan theories from this, and it's fucking awesome. You know, like I think I dive into some movies sometimes, into some crazy Stranger Things shit. Motherfucker, that ain't nothing compared to what these people were coming up with. It's really good though. Check it out, man.
That's fucking awesome. You know what? I actually might. there's I mean, although this movie kind of has a really specific voice, there are different ways that you can like interpret shit, like the deer thing that we just talked about. Like I took it to mean the other thing, and like you guys were like, no, it might actually be his mum. But yeah,
that's what nobody's right, nobody's wrong.
No, you're wrong. Shut up. Just straight up. But we get our first hint of kind of like a body snatcher situation.
Yeah, Georgina not acting so normal here.
Dude, this is weird. But like I was watching this, I was like, I kind of have a feeling something's going to happen as she's like pouring the glass, because like she pours his glass last, and I was like watching it the first time, and I was like, oh, something's going to happen here. Something's going to happen here. And like she gets a moment of clarity, and it's so, what happens to these two characters, man, it's kind of heartbreaking, really.
It is, yeah.
Really sad.
When you think about, like, especially once you know what they're doing, you've seen the movie once and you're watching this again, the idea of, like, it's probably the actual person deep down in there seeing another black person on this property, just freaking out and trying to get control of their body again to warn them. Like, just seeing another person and knowing they're just totally prey.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's another thing, man. Like, later, I mean, I know I'm jumping a bit ahead here, but when Andre... when he starts shouting "Get out!" I'm also thinking that he's also telling the person that's controlling his body to get out. Like, you know, it works like two ways. Like, literally telling Chris to get out, and like telling the person controlling him to get out. Like, it's fantastic, man. But we move over to this wacky fucking dinner scene
with her horrible brother.
Oh,
the
dude.
Worst. Oh my god.
This kid, man, like he's weird. Like the specifics of this story isn't too important, but like I want to know, do you think they do this every time? Like this,
that's good. Yeah.
This story, like, I mean, like, you know, have a nice dinner, you know, get some drinks and tell a nice story, like kind of butter them up. Like, what do you guys think? Like, do you think they do this all the time? And do you think they enjoy doing this all the time?
Ooh. I feel like kind of like what we said at the beginning, because we see her brother, taking Andre the way he takes, their prey, unsuspecting black men. He just comes up and grabs him and throws him in a trunk. And I imagine they auction him off like a fucking slave auction where they're just like, here it is. There he stands. What do you want? But I feel like the way Allison's character, Rose, this is the normal way she goes about it. Like, she goes about it from this soft approach. I'm bringing, I date them for a couple of weeks or a couple months, and then I bring them on the weekend that we have this auction planned, and kind of butter them up. And I think you're onto something there, Zoheb, of like getting them at ease so that it's easier for Missy to hypnotize them.
Yeah, I think they're slowly kind of building like a thing in Chris's mind where it's like we want him to trust us, we want him to get comfortable. But I mean, like, with Georgina's actions and Walter's actions, like, it's not really easy for him. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But dude, how about fucking Georgina in the kitchen when
standing when like Missy a deactivated Terminator, just waiting? That's
what I thought, dude. I was like, is this like a robot situation? Are they like, is this Westworld? It is weird, dude. It's so off-putting. But I like what happens here because the brother Jeremy is basically trying to feel out how good he is physically. Like, right. what he's into, like whether he's into MMA, and he kind of wants to like wrestle him, and he's trying to get a feel for, I guess, how much they want to auction him off for, right? Like,
it's so creepy. He's just such a weird voice, where he's just like, "Are you into MMA?"
Oh, he's creepy. They chose the greatest actor, and dude, later when he's fighting him, I'm like, This kid wouldn't make a bad Joker. I don't know.
No, dude, I totally
see that.
No, go ahead.
I just agree. I could totally see him painted up as a Joker.
Oh, absolutely. Dude, we're watching this, and Lindsay's like, what about fucking reject Heath Ledger over here? I was like, yeah, this guy's kind of giving me like some heroin diary vibes. Like, there's something fucking like weird about this dude. And I think it's great because there's just so many things unsettling about him. For one thing, isn't he naturally redheaded? I mean, right there, that's a fucking sign. No, I'm just kidding. But
those fucking gingers.
Yeah, I say that with a bright red beard. But at the same time, too, I mean, just the mustache, like everything about him. Not only does he seem like just a fucking douchebag, like kind of like hipster. Like I know LSG lovingly and jokingly calls you a hipster sometimes, Matt. This dude is the fucking hipster, though. Like, yeah, just the fucking. I mean, playing with the ukulele. I was like, oh my god, this guy is in a Mumford & Sons cover band in like 6 months. Like, fucking bet it, dude. I fucking bet it.
Oh, and he always gets mad at the other dudes in his band because you guys aren't stomping on the wooden floor in time well enough. We all have to stomp and clap.
Oh god, Jesus. That's fucking great.
Yeah, I didn't trust him from the second he came in with that pencil thin crustache. Oh, don't like it. Never trust a crustache, man.
Yuck. Crustache.
The only mustaches I trust are Tom Selleck-esque. That's it.
Oh boy,
that's true. Fucking Freddie Mercury.
Exactly that. Those are good mustaches, trustworthy.
Allison. Chris says, I told you so. To Allison. But, I mean, hey, the most important thing is, Allison standing in her fucking underwear. Like,
yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, Lindsay looks over at me. She's like, cover your eyes.
It's so awkward watching this with your dad. But I'm like, Dad, it's important. Like, they're talking about important shit. But, she's so good at the manipulation, man. Like, as soon as, like... She hooks up with him and, like, they probably have sex. Like, it's just so... It's so much the honeypot. Like, you know what I mean? It's just... like,
exactly. She's like, oh, I'm sorry you're so uneasy. Will my pussy make it feel better? It'll be fine. Don't think about it anymore.
Yeah, by the way, I wouldn't mind that torture if I could get with Allison. But no, he wakes up in the middle of the night. Well, I don't know if he actually goes to sleep because, like, the scene, like, transitions to him already awake. So, he probably just... I wouldn't be able to sleep, actually.
Yeah, it's already gotten weird.
Yeah, he's thinking about the deer. He turns that little lion. He's like, why the fuck is this thing watching me? But I wouldn't be surprised if there's a fucking camera in there or some fucking weird shit, man.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, why are they showing us this? Something's up with this. What is this? You know, is it symbolic of something else? I didn't really catch it.
It doesn't come back, but it might just be like a comedic thing. Like, you know, like whenever I have a little Joker figurine in my thing, but like whenever I sleep, I do like it's like fucking not looking at me. Because I mean, come on, the Joker's scary.
Turn away, Crown Prince of Crime.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna be like, whenever I masturbate, I just turn him around so he can't see my shame.
Well, that too. just put down the photos of my family.
Sorry, Gam.
Oh, Gam. He goes outside for a smoke, and dude, this is out of context. This is hilarious.
It is, dude. This is like this reminds me of like some Conan O'Brien Walker Texas Ranger lever shit from back in the day. If you guys ever watched that, he would pull a lever and play something out of context, and it's fucking hilarious. And seeing this, I was like, what in the fuck is going on right now, dude? Like,
but Walter out there like, practicing his revenge runs for Jesse Owens.
It's like, I'm going to win the 1936. But no, this was actually, I remember when this movie came out, I think it was March last year or some shit like that, but this was made into a meme. I remember seeing it on Facebook so many times. I don't know. But like just a straight face, like staring him down and then like just running to the right. Like it's wild, man. And then he turns around and gets a second scare with Georgina just like fucking staring at the window, into the mirror or out the window or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, she's like almost like cross-eyed looking at her reflection. I was like, holy shit, like what the fuck is going on?
You know, I want to step out of the movie for just a second to think about, like, you know, if it's not this particular, you know, story that happens over these 2 days, what is the rest of their days like with Georgina and Walter? Like, do they literally, like, hang out and they're like, this is Grandma and Grandpa? Because she calls them later on at the end of the movie, like, that's Grandpa, that's Grandma. But they are so weird. Like, they're still wrestling with the true owner of the body inside of it. And, like, they're so off-putting and strange. And I'm like, do you guys really just, like, have good old-fashioned family hangouts with them? And, like, are all sitting around the fire eating cookies together? Like, are they always kind of fucked up and weird?
You know what? I like to think that, they do drop their disguise whenever, like, someone from the outside is not there. Because, like, I mean, I think that kind of adds to the way that they're terrible actors. Like, you know what I mean? The grandparents are terrible at playing black people.
They really are.
I'm sorry, that sounds terrible to say, but I mean,
no, they're all like fucking Leave It to Beaver like shit.
They
you
are.
Know?
Yeah, they really are. Like my favorite moment of that is actually, I guess it's not right away, but a little bit later in the movie where he's like, sorry, I didn't mean to snitch, and she's like, snitch?
Right.
Like she's never heard that word before.
Tattletale, yeah.
Tattletale?
It's weird, man. But then we get probably the most standout sequence in the movie. Probably. This is the hypnosis scene. Dude, the way Peele decides to shoot this, it's like it starts off really like kind of like a mid shot on Kaluuya, and then like it starts moving in slowly. And the same with Catherine Keener, like it starts off as a mid shot and then moves in, as he's like kind of like divulging his regret for the loss of his mum, and the sound of the spoon scraping in the cup, man. I was like, this is putting me to sleep.
Oh, dude, that shit was pissing me off. I was like, stop, stir, because it's something about that. Just not only is it's kind of like getting in your car and you don't put your seatbelt on, and it's just like beep, 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 beeping the fuck off. It's just like, shut up, dude. I can't stand that constant, like, pinging, like, kind of noise. Not only did it make me kind of, just more so Catherine Keener is just great at making someone feel at ease. She's fucking great, man. Hey, can you read me like a bedtime story sometime? Like, that'd be great. Put me right to sleep or something. But just the spoons, like, not only is it, is it obviously her tool of hypnosis, but it's just like constantly, like, it's just stirring and stirring and stirring and just keeps going. It's like, God, that'll just fucking drive you insane because it just seems like it's never going to stop.
Right. We keep cutting back to like close shots of it. Like it's making you remember that he can't stop noticing it. Like it's his mind can't stop, noticing that sound. It can't get away from it.
And I love I love the way she eases him into the I keep saying psychosis, the fucking hypnosis. Because he's like, wait, are we doing this? Like he's like, he doesn't even know. But then like she's already started. She's already fucking waist deep into his like psyche. It's awesome, man. But yeah, the sunken place.
Oh my
this
god,
is
so good.
Awesome. This is wow. What do you guys think? Tell me. Talk to me.
I love the look of it. I love him still struggling against it, even as he's going down. Him being like, wait, no, like realizing that this is not well. But especially cutting back to seeing, I love the shot of him as a kid sinking into his bed, like, because he felt paralyzed then and he's paralyzed now by her. So we don't see him go through the chair. We see him as a kid inside of his memory. Like it maybe makes me even think that that's like her strategy. Like she locks you into your childhood drama
past,
and then sinks you down. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's so good. I mean, just the visuals of him. You know what it made me think of? Have you guys seen Under the Skin?
I actually no.
I want to. Fuck. It's on Netflix.
Oh, it's so great. But yeah, the utter blackness of it, you know, and him just being so completely alone and floating. I love it. It's terrifying though.
It's great, man. So this is what happened to Johnny Depp in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Pretty much.
Into the fucking bed.
And then into a blood volcano.
Oh, Jesus Christ, fucking everywhere. By the way, Jordan Peele commented on the sunken place as well. So, I mean, you know, because it is actually a very political movie. Like, there's no getting around that.
Really? I did not pick up on that. No,
the metaphor, Peele said, it's a metaphor for the marginalization of the black horror movie audience. We are a loyal horror movie fan base and we're relegated to the theater, not on the screen. It's about like, he goes on to say about how it's a real world concept of a system silencing you no matter how loudly you shout, which is great.
Right. The powerlessness of it. Like that to me is the main like theme of the horror itself, of you're powerless. Nobody cares, nobody believes you, and even fighting as hard as you can, once you're in the sunken place, there's no fighting it really.
It's right. To touch on something that because I was listening to the bonus episode you guys just did, Nightmare on Elm Street, and either you or Dean, I can't remember which one. We're talking about punching in dreams, and like when you throw a punch, it feels like you're just like underwater, and literally, I mean, he looks like he's like in space, like almost underwater. You know, he feels like he's just floating, and nothing he can do. Not only can he not touch anything, but if he did even touch anything, he'd have no strength behind it. Like there's just nothing there. Right. Just that kind of feeling of that hopelessness. Like holy shit, they feel like you're just like punching through like water. It takes forever. Like that feeling is terrifying. I fucking hate dreams like that.
Oh yeah, that's the worst.
By the way, that bonus episode, I'm going to plug the fucking Illuminati, bitch.
Look at you sweetheart.
So Collin and I are card-carrying members of the LSG Illuminati, which is we've been members for a while now. Basically, it's access to bonus content. It's access to, you can vote for whatever movie you want LSG Media to cover. You guys have monthly votes, and it's fucking awesome, dude. You get access to a exclusive Facebook page where it's basically a cult.
Yeah, but basically, it's a lot like the people from this movie. No, I'm just kidding.
And you get to be just like Jay-Z and flash those pyramid signs, and you know that you're in a real club.
It's fantastic, man. It's awesome. I'm glad to be a part of the Illuminati.
Thank you, man.
It's fucking awesome, dude.
I appreciate that. And I would say, honestly, my only real plug right now is that anybody who's a member now gets the early release of our RPG episodes, which is going, dude, it's going to be its own feed, but not for like another 7 or 8 months. So that if you're not a member, that's how long you have to wait. But if you're a member, you get to hear them now. And we've been working really hard on those. Dean has been outdoing himself on the editing of those.
Dude, the subtle music that he splices in, I
love it.
Man. He's I can tell, like, in the editing process, he's been killing himself, and I'm like, dude, it sounds incredible, and the show is fantastic. Like it's entertaining while also being hilarious. Very LSG, very LSG. But back to the movie. Chris wakes up, finds his phone unplugged. The first instance of, a little bit of fuckery here.
Yeah, and he ignores it. He doesn't say anything about it that first time.
No, he doesn't. But every time I see the phone unplugged, I'm like, this is unsettling for me because my phone is on charge every night, and which I know you shouldn't do, but it's I'm always like one of those people who are like, charge my phone every fucking night.
Oh, fuck that, dude! I gotta wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning to go to work, so I fucking have to make sure my phone is charging, dude.
Exactly, dude. I charge it at night, and I have a fucking cable that I take to work. The iPhones are that dog shit with battery.
Oh, dude, same thing, man. I'm in a warehouse for like 10 hours, so like I'm listening to Hey, do you remember an LSG, and I'm burning through some podcasts. So I bring like a fucking power stick with me at work to charge and shit. Like no joke.
For sure, dude. Chris goes out to take some photos. Tries to take one of Georgina. This is the music, the little splice of music that they put in, like we've heard it before because like she was walking around the house earlier at night, and it's startling, dude. It's like, I know it's like a cheap kind of like jump scare, but I guess it's kind of like for the mass appeal audience. Like they're like, oh, that's scary. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
gotta have a jump scare.
Yeah, gotta please the fucking popcorn stuffers in the face. And he starts talking to Walter.
Oh,
in this wild conversation.
This is, oh man, it's so out of control.
Talk to me, man.
Like, it gets so weird. It's so fast.
His teeth are so weird.
The way he smiles, he's like a real doggone keeper. It's so weird.
Yeah, it reminded me of it reminded me of a Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode with I think they're called the Gentlemen. It was like one of the most fucking terrifying episodes of Buffy I saw. But it's these guys who are just always smiling, these terrifying looking creatures, but just they're very polite, and they're very old school about things. Kind of like these characters that have been taken over. They're very, oh, you mean Tattletale? You know, like they all have their own kind of, you know, oh, she's a real doggone keeper. Like all the language is an older language, and you really kind of start to pick up on that after a while. Like, what the fuck? These guys seem like they're out of that town in Big Fish called Spectre. Like they all fucking act like it's like some kind of weird utopia. And just this whole thing about, hey, so what are you doing out here? Is like, oh, nothing I wouldn't want to be doing. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, dude. Okay, well, can you make that sound any creepier? Because like, what the fuck?
You two assholes are hitting me with so many fucking deep cut references, man. We're like 3 ships in the night. I've not seen either of those 2 references. Like, I haven't seen Big Fish, and I want to see Buffy, but I haven't seen it yet.
That's right. I've never seen Sicario, so fuck me, right?
Oh my god. I just died in my brain just exploded.
That hurts. My boy Villeneuve is crying somewhere in France.
I know. Well, hey, yeah.
Zoheb, you
France.
you see in the fucking mouth of madness, and I will see Sicario. Goddammit, we'll make a deal right now.
Yeah, you know what? Let's do it because I'm sure the qualities are exactly the same.
Fuck you.
But yeah, this weird interaction, man. Like Chris walks off, and he's just like, "What the fuck just happened?" Talks to Rose about the hypnosis, and he decides to drop it. Chris is he's very chill. And Kaluuya plays it really well, man. Like he takes a lot on board before he makes decisions. What do you guys think about?
He's really patient, man. Like he's not quick to jump to any assumptions. You know, it seems like, I mean, he's got an inkling of things, but he's like, I've got a feeling, it's my gut, but I can't transcribe it. I can't tell you exactly what it is.
See, neither can we. Like, I wouldn't really run yet because I know things aren't right, but I wouldn't run yet.
Right. Well, you know, and I see him as like a really cautious person too, and I think there is, you know, on the racial like side of it, I think he's like still thinking in the back of his head of like, I'm the one dude here and I'm surrounded by her and her white family who's already acting super weird. And like when she brings up the idea, because he talks about Walter being like kind of hostile sounding, and maybe he's got something on, you know, he's kind of into you because he was talking about you being such a keeper, blah blah blah, and she makes the joke of like, oh yeah, do you think I got a chance? And he's like, okay, whatever, I'm not going to talk about it. And she's like, oh, I'll talk to my dad. And he's like, no, don't. Like, he doesn't want to make a ruckus and make a big stink of it. He's like, I just want to like get through this weekend and get out of here. At this point,
he's really trying. Like, which I like, man. Like, I mean, it's realistic. Like, I would try too. You know.
Let's just get through this. I just want to go home.
Yeah, man. Fuck. But then they look out the window and they see this horrifying fucking parade just rock up to the property.
This like fucking Illuminati funeral they're about to throw, like all black cars.
Right. It's fucking wild, man. And Walter greets them, and like as a couple of them get out of the car, they're just like, Walter's like, there they are. like he's known them for like years and years and years, and they're like friendly, like they probably go golfing together, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
And they probably did when they were younger, the grandfather and those two. Like, it's wild.
That's such a big like throw off moment again in this movie, because like we were saying, when you first see Walter and Georgina, they're so off putting and strange that you're like, are they the ominous villains, or something's wrong with them? And you think, okay, maybe this family is like weirdly racist in a way they're not talking about. But then you see Walter hugging all these people and their old friends, and you're like, that's not what I would expect this to look like. I don't know.
There's a lot of red herrings, man. Like, there's a lot of things that like it's really tough. I didn't really guess where this was going until, you know, the revelation of the auction and the revelation, you know, that she was in on it. Where were you? What about you, Colin? Because you just saw this. So, well, you actually had it spoiled for you, didn't you?
I mean, kind of. I knew somewhat what it was about, you know, that they were trying to take over his body, basically, or whatever. But at the same time, the movie was so good that, yes, this concept has like semi-pseudo been done before, but at the same time, I mean, this movie took it in a whole different direction, where this is not something that it wasn't something that I was expecting. When they all pull up, the first thing I thought was, okay, well, if they're trying to take over this guy's body, it must be for the purge, because all these motherfuckers look like they purge, or they own like
purge.
Yeah,
or for sure
they own like fucking OCP in Detroit or something like that. But yeah, I something was up. I mean, obviously, all these people sizing him up. Oh, is it true? You know, is it better? You know, talking about his dick and stuff like that.
Oh, it's so weird.
Oh, yeah. I like to call this the showcase scene.
Yes, dude. If anything will make your asshole just squinch in fucking anxiety, like, oh god, that's so hard to watch. Like seeing somebody do like bad karaoke, or somebody get like somebody do like a public engagement and they get rejected. You're like, oh god. But I knew, obviously I knew something was kind of up, just by the way, you know, and we see Andre again later on. I was like, okay, something is definitely fucking up here. You know, I don't really know exactly what's going on, but something is going on. And that's kind of where we also, where we figure it out with Chris. He's like, okay, something is going on. He's like, I know, you know, he's like, I'm pretty sure I know where this guy's from, but, there's something just now as I'm rewatching it and I see all them pull up and they're talking to him and stuff like that. Rosemary's Baby. It feels so much like Rosemary's Baby. You know, these people are way too nice to you. Like, and you can say that it's something about him being black, that they're just, you know, they're basically, you know, like what you said earlier, Matt, you know, just pandering, you know, just right. Kind of, just blowing smoke up your ass, you know, because you're black. And I think that you can tell that it goes beyond that. You know, I think we all know people who are like that, who are like, no, I love black people. Michael Jackson. Yeah. You know, and like, there are people who constantly,
well, like here, like Tiger, the reference to Tiger Woods.
Right, exactly. Right. An even better example than the one that I just gave. But yeah, it goes beyond that, and you can tell something is fucking going on. They're sizing him up. People are touching him. You know, something is definitely off, and more so than just, you know, these are a bunch of old white people who have never been around a whole lot of black people before. You know, I can understand, you know, certain things that they say and certain things that they do that you know is inherently racist, and maybe they don't. It's not direct racism. It's not just I don't like you because you're black. It's yeah. It's kind of like there's a great comedian named Dana Gould, and he talks about bringing his mom from South Carolina, or no, she's from Boston. Bringing her from Boston to California. She'd never left Boston. In a grocery store, and she's a black guy, and she goes, "Your father said they're tall. They're not all tall." Like it's like, oh my god, like
Jesus.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's a great. Dana Gould is like my fucking hero. I love Dana Gould. He's hilarious. But it's just that kind of racism where it's like it's just the stereotypical kind. It's like the same kind of
ignorance. There's no other word for it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Literal,
dude. It's like
literal ignorance. Like I just literally don't even know how to interact with you.
Right. I can't tell you how many people look at me and see like the big red beard, like, oh, what are you, Irish? I'm like, I'm French. Fuck you. Like I'm not even. I'm like 10% Irish. I don't even know where the fuck you got that. But it's just like the stereotype of it. It's backhanded kind of. They mean it almost as a compliment, but it's just this total like, oh god, you don't even realize how bad what you said is.
Right. And also, I mean, like, and in this particular circumstance in this movie, it is definitely literal objectification where they're like, oh, look at your body, oh, that looks like a good fit, those look like good arms, like they're like literally sizing him up like a piece of meat because that's what they're intending to do. But yeah, like it's that kind of, I'm not complimenting you as a person, I'm complimenting what I think black people might like. Where you're like, I'm not even taking into account you as an individual.
Right. And don't even get me started. Like, I'm not saying it's comparable, but I mean, like for Muslims, right? I mean, like my last name is Ali. I cop some shits like here and there. Like, I mean, it's a tough time these days.
For real.
But like, I mean, I think my family's not like we're pretty progressive. Like we don't do any of the traditional shit. Like we're just fucking living our lives. Like there's nothing.
Right.
There's literally like my parents don't wear the shit. Like, I don't pray. Like it's not. Yeah, I drink. I drink like a fish. But yeah, dude, going back to this movie, I think it's also really interesting that there's no other way to put this. The white people are wanting to be the black people.
Yeah, exactly. There's like this weird jealousy thing in there too. It's so interesting.
The whole instead of let's segregate them and cast them out, let's be them. Like,
right,
that's
yeah, it's
wild.
like it's the essential. If you can't beat them, join them. They're like, we don't necessarily believe that we're the superior race. They never say that. They never say, oh, we're white. We're so much better. They do say, I think they say later on, mentally. That if we could combine your physical attributes with our mental capabilities, which is, again, I mean, yes, I get that you're saying they're awesome physically, but the other side of what you just said is fucking disgusting. Right. And they have these crazy kind of. Almost like phrenology kind of Leo and Django kind of like views on just the physical makeup of African Americans. They believe this this crazy kind of this crazy kind of like I don't want to say rhetoric, but just this false information about them. And I like the fact that it's not so much, oh, we can't beat them, like, I guess it actually could be taken like that. We can't physically beat them. The grandfather kind of, could you say that he started doing this just because of his loss to Jesse Owens? Do you think that's what started this whole thing? Because it really kind of starts with him,
Right, like he got obsessed with the idea of like there must be something in their body that I don't have and I want it, kind of thing.
Right, yeah, that's the only thing that I can take away from it. And they don't. It's so crazy because you would think that the whole time I'm sitting here expecting this family to come out and be like, and we will annihilate the black man from the blah blah blah, but it never happens. It's the exact opposite. Yeah, it never. Sure. It just totally pulls a switcheroo and fucks your mind.
When that even goes back to like Jim Crow era shit that they were like, so the kind of propaganda and everything back then was like all about this fear. A big thing you would see then was like, you got to stop all these wild black men from getting our women. Like that was like such a big part of that like racial fear and tension in the South in that era. And when you think about that, it is like this whole, it's not just that they're racist, but it's like they think they're going to be bested by them. Like there's this weird insecurity and jealousy, and now it's come full fold in this circumstance of like, yeah, we are that way, and now we want to fully take it and own it for ourselves. Like the thing we've been afraid of, we want to control because we think we have a weird, like, insecure jealousy for it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, man.
So fucking weird.
We re-meet Andre, who's going by the name of Logan King. And this is interesting, dude, because, like, it's so weird how he talks now compared to the first scene of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you can, like, make those comparisons because you see the pre-operation versus the post-operation, and then you're just, like, the way he, like, holds himself. Like, when he's walking down the street in the first scene, he's like, doing, he's got, a strut about him. And he's like, he talks like a normal black man. That's so fucking racist.
I mean, even just when like Chris approaches him, he's like, "Hey, good to see another brother around here," and he's like, "Hi, yes,
yeah, wow."
Of course,
like, it's kind of like a tinge of British. Like, it's weird.
Mm-hmm. Very cordial.
Very cordial, yeah. Which is just weird, man. And the hat, it's just like, I'm just like, what are you doing?
This fucking hat. Oh my god.
All of the vaginas everywhere just dried up when he turned around.
And especially with just like his body language, you can see how he kind of carries himself. Like his shoulders are a little more hunched, like he's kind of got an old man's posture. And it's like, dude, I mean, part of me feels like, is that put on, or is that something that whoever took over, Andre's body are they just not used to it yet? Have they not broken it in? Is it like
I think that's it. Yeah.
I think that's it too. Because, like, he turns his head like Batman. Like, he turns his head the same way, like, the body turns at the same time.
It's true.
Like, you know what I mean? It's weird.
This cowl is restrictive.
Sure make backing out of the driveway easier. But the thing that seals the deal, man, is the fucking fist bump / handshake.
Oh my god, yes.
That is brutal. You know what, man? Just fucking YouTube one day awkward handshakes. You will have the best time. It's so fucking hilarious.
Overdose on cringe.
Totally, man. But Chris watches them walk over to, like, another group of, like, old men, because that's all there are here, just fucking old people. And he kind of, like, does this, like, twirl, and it's kind of like, dude, can you imagine, like, what they're talking about here? They're like, show us your new body. Like, you know what I mean? Oh, it's wild, man.
He does the little turn. God, it's so weird.
It's wild. But we meet Milton. Not really Milton, but Stephen Root, Jim, who plays Jim Hudson.
Stephen Root, dude.
You know who I'm referencing, right? From Milton.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, thank God! Have you seen Office Space, Matthew?
Fuck yes, I love that movie.
I'm gonna need that red stapler.
Well, also, dude, he's fucking Bill from King of the Hill. He's in No Country. He's in like all the Coen brother movies now. He's fucking great, man. I mean, he's been in everything. This guy's been in fucking Seinfeld for a couple episodes. Like he has had such an illustrious career, and nobody knows who the fuck Stephen Root is. I'm like, dude, it's crazy. It kind of pisses me off sometimes because he's such a great voice actor, comedic actor, dramatic actor. Dude. And once he popped up, I was like, oh fuck yeah, I love this guy.
He was in Dodgeball, for fuck's sake. Like, I love that movie.
He's fucking great, man. He's great in everything.
For sure. But basically, he's a prestigious art gallery owner, a blind art gallery owner, which is weird, which is wild.
He's like, the irony is not lost on me.
No. They have like a nice little conversation. Basically, Jim Hudson's. He talks about, like, he submitted to National Geographic and he didn't have the eye. You kind of like get like a little bit of sympathy here,
right? Or at least it seems like it here.
Like, yeah, that's right. Like, it kind of like lulls you into like a false sense of security. But I love the way like Peele shoots this. Like, they're having this like intimate conversation. In the background, they're playing the most girly sport ever.
Are they playing? What is it that they're playing over there? Is it wiffle? No.
I forgot what it's called.
Is it croquet?
No, it's not croquet. It's got a net.
Oh, it's badminton. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. Fucking having your mind blank. Jesus Christ.
Gotta get the shuttlecock.
Yeah. But dude, when he goes upstairs and they all just fucking stare.
Oh my god,
dude,
that is such a good creepy moment where like you see him go up the stairs and out of frame, and then everybody in unison stops and is like watching only him.
Yeah, because at this point you still don't know what's going on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, why are they staring at him? Like, you know what I mean?
And to me, that also probably speaks to like the kind of anxiety of knowing when you're the only black dude in the room. Like, when I leave this room, everybody might be talking about me. Like, the conversation changes, the nature of the gathering changes. You know, this whole weird awkwardness to it.
Right? God, fucking damn it, man. He finds his phone unplugged again, and he talks about, you know, someone unplugged my phone. He talks to Rose, and he's just like, I think it was Georgina. And
they have a little spat here.
They do have a little spat. But then, like, you know, he gets in a phone conversation with Rod, and sex cult, sex slave. He's so adamant this is a sex slave situation.
It's so good that he's basically the guy in the horror movie. Like, he is that tropey character of like, don't do that. I know what this is. Like, he's spelling out literally everything it is. I mean, he overemphasizes the sex safe part of it a little bit, but
he's like,
other than that, he's right.
He's like that guy from Scream, the guy that knows all of the tropes.
Oh, Jamie Kennedy's character?
Yes, that's right. I couldn't remember the fucking actor's name. Jesus Christ. But he talks about the psychic part of it, and it's just like, they're gonna have you barking like a dog and shit like that. I'm just like, this is all fucking hilarious. It's good. It's a good way to break up the tension just for a little bit, because immediately after this, we get a wild fucking scene, man. Georgina walks in and she's like, I'm so sorry, you know, I shouldn't have touched your belongings. And then, wow.
And what a crazy, long-winded way to explain I accidentally unplugged your phone when I was cleaning. Like, she has this weird detail to it of, I was moving it and it became undone, and rather than fiddle with it further, I just I'm like, what is it? Fiddle with it further? You can just plug it back in. What are you talking about?
Right. Yeah. There's something about all these people that have been taken over that remind me of like the game BioShock, like the people who live in Rapture, like just that old. I mean, it's just so just that old school kind of mentality. You know, rather than meddle with it further. You know, just the words that they use really stick out to me, because I was like, these people seem like they just walked out of a time machine. You know, it's like something. What the fuck is going on? Especially when, you know, he starts talking about, you know, what is the line that he says that sets her off? It's something about white people. You know,
if there's too many white people, I get nervous.
Right. Yeah.
She's like, no. So creepy.
Oh, that's great, man. That is fucking great. Because Georgina does get a lot of screen time, but this is. It's insane because because she kind of starts walking closer to him, and the camera just gets so in her face. It's like, dude, I am extremely uncomfortable right now. Like, I was
very
like,
unsettling.
What the fuck, man?
And the tears, like, she's crying, man. Like, she's just. You can tell Georgina inside is just like right at the surface, man. Like, if you think about the sunken place and how deep it goes, she's like right at the top, just to the brim,
like scratching at the screen, basically.
Dude, it's fucking wild, man. This is like, no, go, Matt.
I was gonna say, this actress is really good, and like, it took me. After the movie, I looked her up, and I think I still haven't watched the second season of Westworld because I suck, but she's a regular on that now.
Whoa,
her name's Betty Gabriel, but she's so fucking good in this.
I love that second season too. Second season, dude, it's fucking great. A lot of people don't, but she plays Mailing. Who the fuck is that? Oh yeah, she's not that important. She's just like a henchman kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh well. She got chops. I mean, if you can sit there and smile, cry like this, that creepily, dude, right in front of the goddamn, that is some intense shit.
HBO's like, we'll take you.
Audition accepted.
Yep. But this is Collin. You said that she gets a lot of screen time, and I think it's a good setup for later, because like, it's her that leaves the box of photos in that little closet.
Right? Good catch. I never put that together.
Really? Oh, that's who I thought like left that. Who's been like leaving that door open, and like the first time he sees it, because we kind of went right past it. First time he sees it, he doesn't investigate it, and I think it's in there at that time. Like I think that he could have gone in there if he like closed the door and actually went to actually have a look. He would have seen it. But this time, like, there is this like setup of like her scratching at the surface, and like I think in a moment of clarity she kind of got out, and she's just like, I'm just gonna leave this photo box here, and like hopefully he'll be able to pick this up.
I think you're right.
I did not think about that at all. I was kind of wondering why the door was still left open. Because I've only seen this once, so I was kind of like, oh, I guess somebody was in there and left the door open. Why is that open? Blah blah blah. But yeah,
it wouldn't be Rose. Like she wouldn't want to give him any view to evidence. So I think you're right, Zoe. Like she gets these little moments of clarity where she gets to come, the actual person, whoever who Georgina was before some crazy old white lady jumped in her body, gets to come out for a second. And is like, I gotta help this guy like for 5 seconds before my creepy lady takes over.
Yeah, because I mean, immediately after this, Andre gets out, and like we're gonna talk about the scene now. So, before that, we get this fucking weird question from this Asian guy. Are there disadvantages or advantages of being a black person in the culture? But I love Chris's reaction. He's like, "Hey, Andre, you want to answer this? You want to fill this one for me?"
Dude, I can't think of a more rude thing than to
That's
put
probably the rudest, right?
And like for one, just that he's the only black person there to like put you up, like, hey, now be the ambassador for your entire race and explain it to all of us. Be patient and explain in detail how it's like. Like that's so shitty. Like nobody owes you a fucking explanation.
But you know what I like? Oh no, go Colin.
Well, I was gonna say it was especially odd because I mean that's the only other guy there besides Andre and Chris who's not white. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, well, I mean, is there any benefit or negative benefit to being Asian in a predominantly blah, 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 like,
dude, you should have asked him that. That would have been the best response ever. He's like, I don't know, how's it to be an Asian, man? What's the advantage?
I honestly thought that's where it was gonna go, and I was like, oh, okay, but then Andre kind of pops up, and I'm glad that this thing takes place. I really like the scene with Andre, just because we establish some kind of rules here. We see that this thing is not 100%, that it is valuable.
It's not stable.
Right.
No flash photography, please.
It's kind of like, it actually kind of reminds me of Split in a way when they just say, Kevin Wendell Crumb, and he'll come to the surface and like kind of fight all the other, whatever they call them, like entities or undesirables away. Because I like that. I like establishing rules for this thing, and not getting too crazy about him. I like that there is some way that he can kind of fend this thing off, that it's not just this unstoppable, thing. I like that a lot.
Yeah, dude, you totally hit the nail on the head, man. But yeah, like he flashes the light, and fucking, like you said, Andre comes to the surface, and get out. And this is a wild scene, dude. But he gets fucking captured, and what we'll do, Matt and Colin.
Yes.
Let's take a break. Let's take a break because I got to piss.
Yeah, same here.
But yeah, no, seriously, I think this is a good place to pause it as well, because it's like, we've established the rules now. And basically we kind of like, we're starting to get an inkling of what's happening. And the next half of this movie is just basically a roller coaster ride. So let's take a break here. We're going to, get more drinks, fucking empty our bladders, have a little chat, and we'll be right back, guys.
You got your toothbrush?
Check.
Do you have your deodorant?
Check.
Do you have your cozy clothes?
Got that.
What?
Do they know I'm black?
Should they?
You might wanna,
Mom and Dad, my black boyfriend will be coming up this weekend. I just don't want you to be shocked that he's a black man.
I ain't never seen you like this before, bruh. Meeting families and taking road trips. Don't come back all bougie, man. Come back, get your damn pants up to your damn stomach.
So you guys coming up from the city?
Yeah, we're just heading up for the weekend.
Can I see your license, please?
He wasn't driving.
I didn't ask who was driving. I asked to see his ID.
Call me Dean and you hug me, my man.
So how long has this been going on? This
This thing. We hired Georgina and Walter to help care for my parents. When they died, I couldn't bear to let them go.
Do you smoke in front of my daughter?
I'm gonna quit. She'd take care of that for you.
How?
Hypnosis.
I'm good, actually.
You ready for this?
How bad can it be?
So look, I go do my research. Apparently, a whole bunch of brothers been missing in this suburb.
But it's cool.
Bro, how you not scared of this, man?
Good to see another brother around here.
Chris was just telling me how he felt much more comfortable with my being here. Get out.
Sorry, man.
Get out! Yo!
Rose, we gotta go.
Is everything okay?
Rose, the keys. Just get the keys.
I don't know where they are.
Rose?
Sink into the floor.
Wait.
Sink.
Mine is a terrible thing to waste. Terrible thing to waste.
If there's too many white people, I get nervous.
No.
Mine is a terrible thing to waste.
All right, guys, we're back. We are back. We're fucking ready to go with the second half of this wild ass movie. Basically, what just happened was Andre just fucking got got flashed, for lack of a better term. And basically, he needs to get re-hypnotized. I guess, they stuffed Andre back down into the sunken place, and everything's all good to go. And basically, Rose is like, you know what? Fuck this. We're going for a walk. And everyone else is like, let's go play bingo. And dude, let's talk about this kind of like intercutting between this really intimate conversation between Rose and Chris, and then this really, I guess, literal silent auction. This is fucking wild. Talk to me.
It's so creepy. It's so fucking creepy. Because also at first you have no idea quite what they're doing or what this auction's about until that camera slowly pulls back on a picture of Chris. You're like, Jesus, they're auctioning him off, putting bids on him.
Completely quietly, with actual bingo cards.
So weird.
Like, and what's the final price? 10, 20 million? Something like that?
I think it's 20. It's 20 because he does
it twice.
10 hands twice. And I think it's either 20,000 or 20 million. I don't know.
It's got to be millions, man. I mean, like, that's a lot, right? Like, 20,000. I'd say it's a million.
Yeah,
it's millions.
When you're cutting open the head of a black man to pull out his brain and shove it to a white person, I mean, it takes a lot of money. It takes some doing.
Can you imagine what the itemized receipt would say? Kidnapping 1 million. Like, you know what I mean? Like luring dinner, fucking 1 million. Like,
bribing police.
Yeah, for sure, dude. But like I said, like while that's going on, Chris and Rose are having a conversation. Basically, Chris is just like, I'm like, I want to go home. And Rose is just like, oh, well, you're going to do this without me. Like, this is, at this point, I was still like, first time I saw this, I had no idea that Rose was in on it. But like, now that I watch it, I'm like, how could she not be?
Right.
The only way I thought that she wasn't is if they were like constantly hypnotizing her as well. If they were wiping her memory of this, and somehow they, because I was like, I don't put it beyond these people to put something in her head where she intentionally lures like black people, or is that something just naturally she's predisposed to,
right?
Or like I couldn't really tell at first. I think that's what's really great is I couldn't really tell if she was in on it or if she wasn't until the very spot where, I mean, it's it's undeniable. And I thought that was great because at first I'm kind of like, okay, is she hypnotized as well? Like, are they using her for this? Like, because it would, and I almost wish it would kind of go that route sometimes, just because somebody in this family eventually is going to be like, no, this is fucked up. Like, we don't do this shit. Like, there will be, I mean, over a course of enough time, the probability of there being a rogue is like, I mean, extremely high. Right. So I thought if eventually someone would be like, no, fuck this, and they use her for that reason. But no, that's totally not the case, and she's a stone cold bitch.
Yeah, that was an interesting interview I saw where Allison Williams was talking about this. She's like, yeah, a lot of times when I'm talking to white people, they're usually like, but how is she in on it though? Like, isn't maybe she's a pawn here or something like that? And she's like, no, she's just evil. Like, she's just fucking terrible. Evil. She's
probably the most conniving out of all of them. If she's like so, like, can you imagine the will that it takes to lure someone like into a situation like this?
Right, and knowing what you're going to be doing with them, and like you're basically going to be killing them. And you're like, oh, I'm not only doing that and taking them to this place, I'm gonna like pretend to be in love with them, have sex with them, like get all close, and like, God, you're evil.
And living, like seriously, living, like, weren't they living together? Like, I think that was I can't remember if they were already living together. I think they've been dating for like 5 months or something.
Yeah.
4 months, I think, or some shit like that. I don't know. But yeah, I totally didn't see it coming because, like, what throws me off is the things that she says. She's like, "Let's go back." Like, you know, she makes a decision. She's like, "Yeah, fuck it, let's go back." Like, that shit. I was just like, "Oh, so she's not a part of this." Okay, like, you know. But she lures him back to the house. And, sorry, I forgot to say, Chris was sold to Stephen Root's character, which is pretty important. Don't want to go past that. Mm-hmm. He gets lured back into this situation, man. And, like, as he's walking in, it's just like this slow motion of, like, the fucking creepy brother playing the guitar, like that little ukulele.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Well, and also, I don't want to go past just quickly in the conversation that they have when he talks about how he did nothing when they called him about his mom, and he just sat there and didn't do anything. And he's like, there was still time, you know, and he just kind of starts breaking down.
Right.
And he
Khalil is great here. Man.
Yeah, right, he couldn't go in there and save her life, but at least he could have like been there, you know. And it's tearing him up about it, you know.
Right.
And I think that's a great scene. But yes, like moving on after that, the whole, you know, she plays him so well, you know. Okay, let's go, let's leave, you know. And this is just basically where she kind of hit. You know, she's kind of like, okay, cool. Well, now this is where we're going with this. So I've got to play along still and wait till, you know, we get this final interaction. You know, it's almost like she's playing with him just to get him back to the house because she can't handle this like by herself. You know, she can't physically hold him down by herself and make him stay. So getting him there is kind of key.
Right. That's a good point. That's a really good point. And also, like, boy, I think I'm not sure if we talked about this the first time he gets hypnotized. Like, it is so insidiously awful. Like, she plays on his guilt about his mom, and she's like, "But you didn't do anything ever, did you?" And it's like totally ignoring the fact that he was 11 years old. Then, like, what the fuck really could he have done? But she just like amplifies his own guilt about it so unreasonably. Mm-hmm. So bad.
For sure, dude. Like, just the predator situation. God damn it.
Exactly.
Chris texts a photo to Rod of Andre, and they figure out that it's Andre Hayworth. They don't know that he's missing yet, but they've made the connection. And yeah, man, this is basically the moment where we find out that, hey, maybe Rose isn't all she's cracked up to be.
Mm-hmm. I love her dad when they come downstairs and he's, Chris, what is your purpose in life? It's like, oh no, dude, this is not fucking good.
If you ask me that question while standing solemnly over a fireplace, like,
villainously in your fucking black turtleneck.
Yeah, and fucking Jeremy with what is that, like a lacrosse
thing?
Oh my god,
some bullshit. I don't know. Some dude. White people shit.
I do love that when he's like, Chris, what is your purpose in life? He's like, right now it's finding those goddamn keys.
Dude, I love that. Just sorry, we're jumping ahead a little there because, like, I mean, with the photos we find out, obviously, yeah, the revelation is pretty cool, man. Because like it starts off with just like kid photos of her. Like he's like, oh, this is cute. And he flicks through, and he finds like shit, she's dated black people before. Why would she lie about this? And then we find a photo of fucking Georgina
and Walter, both of them.
And Walter, yeah. Holy shit. And he's like, but I like the way he plays it off. Like, he doesn't immediately bring it up. He's just like, this is weird. Let's get the fuck out of here. I'm like,
yeah, he definitely knows she can't be trusted now, but she's also his only ride out of there. So it's like, cool. Right. I'm just gonna play this cool, even though I'm terrified of your creepy ass now.
Right. And he's like, hey, let's find those keys. And she like bends down to try and find the keys. And he's like, let's do this on the move. Like, I love his.
That's such a good line. Yeah.
Yeah, I love his like eagerness, like to keep it going. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's move everything's
on.
Ratcheting up to 10. Like, you know,
dude, and that's one of the things I love about this scene when they do go downstairs, and after his dad is like, "What is your purpose?" Like being all fucking insane, is that the family's like closing in around him, and he's like, "Where are those keys, Rose? Do you have those keys?" And finally he just breaks, where he's like straight screaming at her, like, "Where's the keys? Where's the fucking keys?"
Well, I mean, like, the first thing he sees when he goes downstairs is Jeremy, like, in front of the door. Like, right there, that's like, oh, shit. Like, he's not leaving, is he?
And honestly, too, the dad kind of lays out in a weird way, like, their twisted motive, their reasoning behind this, kind of like what we were talking about earlier about like this weird jealousy of black people. Where
mortality.
He's like, mortality, and he's also like, we're gods trapped in these cocoons, and so it's like I both want to live forever, and I want your vessel. I want a black body as mine, and like this whole bizarre thing of like, we are great, but our bodies aren't as good as yours, so we're gonna take that so that we can be the completed gods.
It's so good. I love this. I fucking love this movie, man. But like, again, Colin, like what you said, man, with the keys, I love that he's just like slowly, it like ratchets it up. He's like, keys, hey, keys, you gotta find those keys. And then he just starts yelling, Rose, you gotta find those fucking keys.
And this is her moment of like, actually, I'm awful too.
Yeah. Oh, I fucking got you. And I love the way he just throws down the bag. He's like, oh, okay, so this is gonna happen, is it? This is gonna happen. But fucking Jeremy swipes at him with the fucking little white person bat thing.
Dude, that shit is like no fucking way. Like, I'm surprised he had the restraint there to not just immediately attack him back. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I would have just, my first reaction would have been like, not backing off like he does. I just like fucking rush him.
Right.
You know?
Like, this guy's out straight up physically hostile now. Like, okay, it's pretty much all bets are off now.
So just going back, what do you think happens in a normal situation? Like, because this is the one that figured it out, right? Like, I mean, if in a normal situation, I guess Missy just works her magic, right?
Right. I think so. I think their normal plan of, their procedure is to like get him down there again and be like, oh, you're upset. You're all rustled up. Let's let Missy talk to you again. And maybe we can calm you down with some hypnosis, and then into the sunken place you go, never to return.
For sure. I love the shot of him in the sunken place this time. It's just kind of like him like swimming, like, but like just sinking at the same time. And the fear on his face, man. It's great. And they carry his body.
Rose, you were one of my favorites. Mwah.
Fuck you, bitch.
Yeah. Oh, what a great consolation. Thank you.
Fucking whore. But then we cut back to Rod, who starts doing some digging. Finds out that Andre Hayworth is a missing person. What would you do in that situation? You'd go to the cops, right?
Yeah. I mean, once I don't even know if I would have waited to see that this guy was like a missing person. It's like, dude, the fact that this guy is like here, like,
that's enough for me. That's right. That's what I'm trying to get at. I think that's enough for me.
I guess it's not enough for the cops. I guess it's okay. Well, he's there. He just married somebody else, and he's part of this family now. What about it? But the fact that he's actually like missing now, that's like, okay, that's enough. You can go and actually do something about this now.
Well, I think the other difficult thing, like for Rod, is that he doesn't know this location yet. Like, he does not know quite where they are. It's like he knows that they're at Rose Armitage's family's house, but like that, trying to even figure out where you would send anybody would be difficult. But evidently he figures it out because, I mean, he shows up there.
Yeah. Well, it must, like, he must have, like, deduced it or something, right? Some shit. We get a shot of Chris in that white person's basement. Like this is like this is like a white people dungeon.
It's like a 70s porn den.
Yeah. Fucking Dirk Diggler walks in.
And the music is so fucking good and creepy here when we're panning down from the big buckhead on the wall to the TV.
It swells on the buckhead. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. It's so creepy.
But this is the time for exposition. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, Jordan Peele's like, we got to give him some answers, guys.
It's getting real wild in here.
Yeah.
I love it. It's like, this is your guide to being a vessel for a bunch of creepy motherfuckers.
Oh, dude. And, like, using the word order. Like, I'm like, he used the word order. Like, these guys are like fucking witches and shit, man. Like, this is wild. Like,
It kind of reminds...
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, just one of the things, like, on a meta, like, writing sense I really like about this, because we're all very used to, like, the Bond villain monologue where, like, now here's why I'm doing the thing I'm doing, and, like, and it's usually kind of out of place or kind of jammed in, and I like that there's an actual reasoning for this here. They're like, we're going to tell you what this is, because if we just throw you in there, your instinct is just going to be fighting constantly, and it's actually a little bit easier if you understand what's happening to you, so it's harder for you to fight against it, where you're like, you kind of are aware that somebody else is in your body, and and it makes the process easier. So it's like, that's why they're telling him.
Mm-hmm.
So creepy, though.
For sure, dude. So basically, this is where we find out about the coagular procedure. And it's wild, man. Like this... Behold the coagular.
So creepy. With your natural gifts and our determination.
It's so fucking weird, man, because like they're just waving happily, like what the fuck? Like the juxtaposition.
Like, what do you guys think the person's watching this reaction is going to be? They're going to be like, hooray, I get to be a part of something big. Like, of course it's horrible. Like, but you're going to be obliterated and barely a sliver of yourself inside of your own body. Sure. Isn't that swell?
But the screen changes quickly to the hypnosis, the cup, and fucking Chris gets knocked out. We cut back to Rod with the cops in a fucking funny scene, man. I love this moment.
Oh yeah, this is great.
Yeah, where the cops, she calls in the other two like detectives, and they all just fucking laugh at her.
Dude, they're just. See, I don't know. Okay, from a realism standpoint, whether they would do this.
I mean, I don't know. The story he spews is fucking nuts. Like,
it is nuts.
Okay. This scene kind of reminds me of The Big Lebowski when he's like, I mean, you guys got any leads on this? He's like, oh yeah. He's like, we got people working in shifts. Leads.
I think the part that I trip over is this guy, Andre Hayworth, is a missing person. He's currently missing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a photo of him currently, and like that would trip alarm bells in my head if I was a cop. I don't know.
Seriously, yeah, I feel like maybe Rod could have even pounded on that a little harder. Of like, no, dude, like this is a missing guy, and my friend who's there has said he looks strange and distressed. Maybe he's not there of his own free will. Like this is an actual missing person. I'm not making it up.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, it warrants some kind of investigation.
Yeah, right. I do like the line of I'm TSA. We have this basically the same training as you, maybe more with terrorism and shit.
Dealing with terrorists.
Oh, it's great. But he gets basically laughed out of the fucking station. He's just like, it's great. And he gets a call from Rose. And this fucking her face, man, like the straight on like monotonous.
One part I don't want to go by is when he's scratching shit off the notebook and he's like, nah, it ain't magic. And he scratches like magic from the fucking sheet. Oh my god, dude. It's so fucking funny.
He's fucking hilarious. In like because this movie needs like the over the top humor, I think, man. Like it doesn't if you don't get the over the top humor, you get Sicario, a very serious like, horror movie.
That's true.
Dude, I will say when they cut to Rose and she has her hair back and stuff like that, does she not look like fucking Casey Anthony Like, I was like, holy shit. The whole time I'm looking at her, I'm just, she was, there was a big trial here in America, basically, about her. She had a kid that, you know, her kid was killed or died, or it's still, I mean, it's debatable, but not really. You know, they found her not guilty in court, but the kid was missing for like a month, and she like never reported it. The woman's kind of nuts. But
I just looked her up, man. She looks exactly like her.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. Read about it sometime because it's fucking nuts.
I always think of I think it's on Bonfire, but there's a Childish Gambino song where it ends with, I made the beat, then murdered it. Casey Anthony.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
Damn.
Wow.
Damn
you, Lando. What are you... Oh, that's... but no, this is another sort of manipulation moment. I always knew you dreamed of fucking me.
Dude, and I love it. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
His reaction is so good.
Crazy ass bitch.
But he goes to, but he's clever, man. Like he goes to try and record her and shit like that, but I don't think it pans out, right?
I think she knows what's up. I think she knows.
Yeah, but I love the shot of the family, like in the back, just like fucking staring. Oh.
I expected Rod to just be, I got your ass now, blah blah, and him have not muted her, and she just hears him the whole time. Like, that's kind of what I expected to happen.
And I also do think that she's so weirdly high on herself that she really thought she could throw a little line out there of like, "Ooh, I'm kind of interested in you now, Rod," and that he was gonna take it and be like, "Oh, really?" And I love how he's just like, "You're fucking crazy." Like, no, I'm done with this.
Yeah, man. We cut back to old mate Chris, and this is basically where Stephen Root explains the situation, right? I want your eye. I want those things you see through.
God.
He looks creepy bald.
Yeah, I'm at this point. Like, at first, I thought I was like, wait, are they just auctioning off like his parts? Like, the woman was asking about his dick. Like, Stephen Root's asking about his eyes. Like, are they just auctioning off like the parts of it? And I was like, oh no, wait, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. And it threw me off. It threw me through a loop at first, but then I was like, oh wait, no, because we see, we see quote unquote Logan, you know, who's out and about, you know. So I was like, okay, no, that can't be it.
Right.
Yeah. No. Definitely, man. But basically, Stephen Root explains that the phases. Phase 1, hypnosis. Phase 2, mental preparation, and basically psychological pre-op, and then the operation. And this is where, like, because that's the first mention of an operation, and then you're just like, wait, what?
Ugh.
And then, like, if you think back, you're like, oh shit. Fucking Dean is a surgeon.
Yep. He has pioneered an incredibly amazing cutting-edge technology of scooping your brain out like a fucking pumpkin.
Oh my god, man!
Because basically, what do they take? Did they take the host's brain out and put their own into it, but they leave part at like the central nervous system? That's basically what happened.
They leave the CNS. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So it's basically, well, you know what it reminds me of? And I remember thinking of it in the cinema, and I like kind of laughed out loud at the wrong time. It reminded me of, you know, in Men in Black, that little alien that's controlling that guy in his head. You need to get to Orion's belt. Yeah. He's like, what is word? Yeah. But yeah, fucking Chris pieces it all together, man. He's like, holy shit, this all makes sense. He thinks about the moment of the first time he was hypnotized by Missy. Now you're in the sunken place, and it all comes together for him, man. But yeah, you know what I actually really like in this situation? And I think it subverts the entire sort of like theory of the movie about how it being a sort of a movie about race. Stephen Root's character couldn't give a shit whether he's black or not.
Yeah, doesn't give a fuck, just wants him for his talent.
I love that, man. Like, I love that it's like, it doesn't have to just be black people. Like, you know what I mean? It's good.
We just want young and strong. Although, there's a part of me that doesn't fully trust him when he says that. Where, like it kind of reminds me of one of those, like, oh, no, I don't even see race guys, you know, of like, I just don't, I'm above that. I'm beyond that. Because the way he talks to him earlier about his eye, I think it implies a little more to it than just his own eyes and him being a photographer. Like, he wants to like have his point of view and be like seen as this like authentic person, you know, because I think that's another like weird jealousy thing of like, there's the bodies, and there's like jealousy of the experience and the coolness of being a black person and the perspective, the struggles they've overcome. You know, he as this white dude can't like claim that, and he's like, I want your eye. I want to be able to see what you've seen, go through it, and be seen as a black person.
Right. He wants like the black experience.
Right. Yeah. Like that's kind of what I think he's implying here, even though he acts like, oh, that's not it. I'm like, I think that's a little bit of it, at least a little bit.
It's cool, man. But that scene closes with Chris looking down at the scratched armchair and the fillings coming out of it, which is intriguing.
Love it.
Dude. And he gets hypnotized again. Or so we think, but it cuts back to Dean fucking preparing his fucking surgery, and the music, the fucking vocals, the Illuminati-esque vocals,
exactly.
Dude. Matt, you gotta propose this as the official Illuminati fucking soundtrack. Like shit.
Everybody's dicks and tits out, stand in a circle in the robes, and listen to our creepy vocals.
Yeah,
it's dude, go, Colin.
I was just saying, it's like the fucking stonecutters from The Simpsons.
Oh my god,
we are the ones who made Steve Gutenberg famous. I don't remember the line.
Oh my god.
We do.
But it's not only that, it's not only the music, it's also like Jeremy presenting that wooden fucking chest and like all of the tools in the chest. Like it's just so cult-like.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Oh, it's cool, man. Dude, I have a hard time watching surgeries in general, and this is kind of rough.
Him just tossing that top of his head into the bucket, just
scalp.
Like,
and I want more scalps.
Nice reference.
God, I had to, man, had to. Jeremy walks back in and fucking cops well, I don't know what these balls are, but fucking blunt force trauma to the head.
I think those are croquet balls, are they not?
Big solid wooden croquet balls. Yeah.
Again, white people shit. So.
Yeah, that shit will fuck you up, dude. Like a croquet ball. Holy
really?
hell! Like. Jesus, but I will say for this scene, I haven't enjoyed seeing a black dude kill a white man since Django. And I was like, holy shit, this is fucking awesome to watch.
Satisfying.
Yeah, especially from him. I'm glad that he's the first one to go because we're like so close to we want to climax on this guy getting killed, and our load is blown so well
true.
when he gets fucking his head just crushed in. Like, oh my god,
dude, when he's lying there in the pool of blood, eyes open, I'm like. He's dead, right? But he's not dead. Like he just fucking
it's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if like they kind of like needed like a horror a little more from him, but I do like the way he dies the second time.
That's true.
Chris walks out into the hallway, fucking
dude,
impales Dean with the fucking like deer horns. Jesus Christ,
dude, I love it. I mean, there's so much symbolism to that too.
Yes.
Like he couldn't help the other deer dying on the road, and now he's becoming a trophy like all the rest of them to have his head chopped off and be replaced.
Yeah.
And he takes the fucking trophy head itself and kills him with it. Like that's just so good.
Well, if you take my probably wrong interpretation of the deer earlier as all like black people who've been like oppressed and destroyed by this family and this guy. Like, this is like payback at the highest quality, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
no, for sure. That makes actually a lot more sense now because it's kind of like the deer is kind of reminiscent of. It literally is a trophy, and they're keeping these black people as basically trophies in a way, and they're using that. I mean, it's really. I mean, it's extremely like I guess meta in that way if you want to call it that. I the first time I saw him, I was like, dude, I would go up there, rip those things off, and fucking just Logan X2 my way down that hallway, just slashing people, dude. Like that.
Yes.
Made me at that shot down that hallway. I just wanted to see him come running at the camera like Hugh Jackman in X2 and just start shredding fucking people.
Straight into the fridge. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, okay. My dad asked the fucking smartest question I've ever heard regarding this movie. Why? Okay, so he knows he's probably going to encounter Missy. Why didn't he leave the earbuds in?
Ooh, it's a good call.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, I guess they have to do the reveal, but at the same time, you can just have the reveal after he kills Missy, because she's the way more formidable out of everyone there. I mean, get rid of Jeremy. Jeremy's the most physical. The dad doesn't really show most of he's not really hard to kill. But get rid of Jeremy and get rid of Missy, and the house of cards starts to fall. Right. But yeah, that would have made a lot more sense. I never even thought about that till now.
Yeah, I was like, Dad, I am impressed.
I mean, there's a part of me that would think like, oof, you don't know where the other people are. You might want to be able to hear them coming, but it would still, it might be something to keep in your pocket. And as you go upstairs, just in case.
Yeah, but I do like the situation. Like they both like freeze, and then like immediately they both like lunge for the tea set, and he just like slams it across.
I love once he smashes it, he looks at her like, yeah, that's all you got, bitch. Like, right. You ain't stopping me now. Like, that was your one weapon.
It kind of reminded me of Marv in Sin City when he actually handcuffs Elijah Wood, and he's like, "I got you, motherfucker!" Like he's like, right? He's like, "Let's see, hop around now." I was like, "Oh fuck, dude, I love that."
It's a great moment, man.
Dude, I completely forgot. It shocked me as much as it did on the first viewing because I totally forgot about him getting stabbed through the hand and having to force that back onto her. God, that's brutal.
I love his reaction. Like, he doesn't scream. He like reacts the exact same way he reacts to everything in the movie. He's just like quiet and grits down, and he's like, I got to get through this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's great. Great moment. He goes for the door, and Jeremy fucking springs out of nowhere. They get in a tussle. Jeremy kicks the door, Chris slams the knife in his leg and then just curb stomps him American History X style.
Oh, hell
yes, dude.
So gangster. I love it. Also, did you guys catch, this was something I was reading a little bit about, and I was like, damn, that's like another really good callback, because when Jeremy's being a weird little shit like he always is at the dinner table and being like, oh, you got to get into jujitsu. That's what you really need to get into. It's more a game of the mind. You got to just be a couple steps ahead. It's not about the body. And that's what he totally pulls on him here, because he goes for the door like two times and he kicks the door shut. And so he goes for it again, not intending to actually get the door open, just intending to get his leg up there so he can fucking stab it. I was like,
dude,
that's slick.
I didn't pick that up. That's clever as shit, man.
So
clever as shit. He goes, actually, before he goes into the car, we get another shot of Rose. Basically, Rose was looking for her next prospects. How great is this?
Dude. Like another creepy, she's not even, like, just eating her fucking cereal one Fruit Loop at a time. Like, but everything about her is so creepy here.
Did you like that she separates the milk and the colored, the colored thing, like separating the whites and colors?
Dude, I feel like you could take all the tests for psychopaths and just boil it down to, how do you eat your cereal? And if it's like this, there we go. Check. Done. Diagnosed.
The only way it could be worse is if she was fucking eating cereal with like a fork. I'd be like, okay, this bitch is nuts. Like, this is fucking crazy.
Well, that and also if she had like a sexual thing for her mother, because it always comes back to the mother in sexual fucking psycho situation.
The part that did make me laugh is when she's Googling like top NCAA prospects. I thought she typed in NAACP. I was like, wow, you're going straight to the fucking source. Jesus Christ, man.
Right.
Jesus Christ. That's full on.
I can't see it anywhere. I did read that. Keegan-Michael Key. He's one of the when she Google searches, he's a cameo as one of the things that she brings up.
That's awesome, dude.
And Microsoft fucking must have thrown a lot of money to this movie, dude. He's got like a Microsoft phone. It's like she's searching on Bing. So I was like, come the fuck on, dude.
That's actually the most unrealistic part of this movie, that anybody uses Bing.
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, come on, man.
Oh, that's great.
He gets in the car, finds a creepy ass fucking helmet, takes off, hits Georgina, and this is the moment where I guess redemption, right, for his mother.
Mm-hmm.
He's like,
oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, well, I mean the obvious, like, because he can't leave her, he doesn't want to leave Georgina dying. He also feels sorry for Georgina. Plus, like, you know, he's got to get over his guilt for his mother. So this is the redemption moment.
Yeah, he knows. It's like, it's so difficult because he both already knows what they do now. He's had their whole process explained to him, where he's like, fuck, if Georgina as a black woman here is not actually herself, you know, she has been abducted like me, and now somebody else is in that body. So you also know it's not really her, but at the same time, like the sight of leaving her on the side of the road, bleeding and dying, he's like, he just can't stomach it, and he's like fighting with himself, like, fuck, don't do it.
Yeah,
but he just can't help. I mean, that's brutal. That's realistic to me. Of like to leave a woman laying on the side of the road and just drive away, knowing she's probably gonna die, is like, that's pretty rough.
Right, especially with your mother dying from a hit and run. You know, it's like, dude, you can't turn around. And I think also he doesn't know. I mean, like Walter and Georgina, they can't really be saved. Like, can they? Like, is there any way for them to even though it is their body, like their brains have been removed? Like, is there any way for them to
saved?
Right, there's no way for them to actually get control of everything again. Like, there's no real way of knowing that.
Right, like their brains have probably been like discarded at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You ruined my house.
Oh, God.
Grandma loves her nice house.
But you know what I love, man? And it didn't occur to me during the procedure scene when a sort of like wig falls off and you see the scar.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, shit, that all three of them actually have something on their heads that hides the scar the whole time. Because, like, Walter's always wearing his hat and Andre's always wearing his hat. Like, I was like, oh, that's clever, dude. Slams into the tree. This, for some fucking reason, this reminded me of the time when Arnie hits the tree in Commando and he's fucking fine afterwards. I don't know why. Oh boy. But fucking Rose catches up to them with a bolt action and
starts taking shots. Yeah,
starts taking shots and fucking commands a grandfather to catch him.
Well, I got two things. I mean, one thing is it's great because it's a callback to, well, I don't want to be getting chased across your lawn with a shotgun, you know, and she's chasing him across the lawn with a fucking rifle.
Oh shit, I didn't pick up on that. Yeah, nice.
But how does the fire get started?
Oh, that's actually it's really
in the surgery.
Yeah, it's a really quick shot. But when the Dean stumbles back in after being stabbed by the buckhead, he falls down and knocks over like this candle, and it catches one of the sheets on fire.
Okay, I saw the sheet on fire, but I never saw him knock over the candle, and I was like, oh, okay, what the fuck, or whatever. I'll go with it.
It's definitely there because, like, I mean, you can't have an Illuminati order scene without candles.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah,
surgery by candlelight.
Turn that fucking light off. Electricity? Never heard of it. But yeah, man, Jeremy fucking slams him down and Chris takes a photo of him. Jeremy, Jesus Christ.
I was like,
Walter.
wait, Jeremy.
sorry. Walter. Walter gets some clarity and he's like to Rose, give me the rifle.
I love
Rose. Rose fucking stupidly gives it over. I don't know why. Like, okay, fine, Rose, just whatever.
Yeah, does she not see the flash? Like,
I don't know.
I think but she must not have seen it.
Yeah, he blows her away and he kills himself. And that was so sad to me, man. I'm like, God damn, there's just like no escape for this poor guy that in his one sort of moment of clarity, he realizes that to avoid this prison fucking sentence, I got to kill myself.
Right. The only good thing he got is he got to kill that horrible bitch who lured him here.
For sure, man. He should have finished her. I wish he finished her.
Right.
But yeah, I feel this is easily the darkest scene of the movie. Like this poor dude, just be like, I'm probably only going to be myself for another couple of seconds. Might as well take the opportunity to end it.
Just fucking finish her, man. Like he's like, I don't want to go back to prison.
Yeah,
I guess that's the thing, right?
Brain prison.
He starts choking out Rose, and we get red and blue lights. And man, when I saw this, I was like, no,
I know,
right?
No, like look at this, look at the carnage behind him. There's an awesome shot of like the crash car in the background, and like Rose just lying on the ground, and there's like half of like Walter's body, and I'm like, look at all this carnage. And if this was the cops, man, there is no way they're not going to arrest this guy.
Right. See, there's and actually, I want to backtrack just like 2 seconds.
Yeah, sure.
The irony in him being saved by picking cotton from the thing. Like Jordan Peele, I mean, at first, because I was like, "Am I racist for noticing that?" And Jordan Peele was like, "No, that is absolutely intentional." He's like, literally in the AMA, he's like, "That irony is not lost on me." He's like, "I totally
fantastic.
get it."
Holy shit!
I didn't even catch that. Yeah,
dude, when I saw it, I was like, I might be a racist prick. I was like, but I have a feeling like that might be in there intentionally, and it totally was. But yeah, just getting back to this scene, the only thing that I can think is that, here's this black dude, here's all these dead white people, and even some, even a couple of dead black people. But I mean, all it takes is one walk through that house for them to go through and be like, oh no, something is really fucked up in here, right? Something's really fucked up.
Well, if they find, I think if they find the surgery, that won't be enough because he's a surgeon. Like, I mean, I don't know about that, but if they find the video of the coagula,
that's true,
right? Yeah, I mean, I think
damning.
I think walking. I mean, even though he is a surgeon, it's like, dude, what are you doing? You just do this for fun at home? Like, I don't think.
Yeah,
right. I don't think you can do that. But yeah, especially with the video, and then, going in and finding all the pictures of the people. Like, there's so much evidence to this, which is why,
the cops walk in and find Stephen Root without his head, like the top of his head.
He just lying there. He just breaks into character from Oh Brother Art. Hey, boss, doing?
Oh, my brain gonna fall out. Uh-oh.
he's like they asked me to move my desk back there.
Can you touch my brain?
Yeah, Lumberg fucked her. Anyway, but it turns out to be Rod. TS motherfucking A. We handle shit. I love this ending, man. Like this, like I said, if this was the cops, this could have gone a totally different way. But like, I think Jordan Peele makes a really interesting decision here to really, really kind of like focus on the red and blue lights. Yeah. like it stands out so much. If we are talking about the race side of things, then this is 100% intentional. I'm sure it is.
Well, did either of you guys catch the alternate ending?
I read about it, but I haven't watched it yet.
No, can you tell me about it, Colin? Because I only just found out about it from you. So.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, it's on YouTube if anybody wants to check it out. But basically, it is the cops. The cops show up. It's the same. I think it's actually one of the same cops from before that pulls him over. But they show up. They pull their guns on him. He puts his hands up. They arrest him, and it cuts to Rod visiting him in, I guess, prison.
Oh,
and Rod's like, "Hey, man, we really need to push on this with your next appeal and blah blah." I think we could. And in the middle of it, Chris just goes, "Just stop, man." He's like, "Just stop." He's like, "I'm cool." And just like he just accepts it. He hangs up the phone. They're on the glass partition, and he just hangs it up and walks away. And that's the end of the movie. And I was like, okay,
that's dark as shit,
right? But I get it. Like, I think that's where you take things. That's almost like a bridge too far. That's like, dude, that's too much. Like as a political thing,
yeah.
Right? And not only is it a totally fucking bummer of an ending, because not only in the story of a black man being hunted and persecuted and used for these things does he not win, but like he fights all these people off and he wins that battle just to get fucked over anyways. Which is, I mean, that's just a shitty ending to me in general. But also at the same time, it's a bold political statement about like how we trust black people in these situations, and it's your word versus everybody else's, and here's all these dead bodies. But at the same time, I think just logically it doesn't make any sense, because you go in there, you've got the whole coagula thing, you've got all of these pictures, you've got
if it's not people all burned down though.
Right, yeah, that's another thing too. I was thinking about that. There's the fire, but I mean, there's like bodies in there of people who are missing. There's Georgina in the car. They can just look and see that she's missing. Like the fact that she's been gone. Like there's so much evidence to fuck that kind of ending over of him going to prison. And I think it's just logistically and politically and as a film, it's just a better ending. And I enjoyed it so much more. Just seeing him not only, the black guy definitely doesn't die in this movie. In fact, he fucking wins. So I was like, awesome. That's fucking awesome.
Right.
Plus, I think, I mean, like, this is, besides the comedy, this has been a really, really dark ending. I think it's really good. It's kind of refreshing to have a happy ending in a horror movie.
Right,
yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
For sure. But yeah, man, that's it. They drive away, they leave Rose to die, and we get a relatively happy ending.
Now, I got a question for you guys. What happens to Andre?
Ooh.
What happened to him? Like he's still Logan. Like whatever, because I've heard some talks about a sequel, because all of these people are still, I mean, okay, well, this is, when you see the video of the coagula thing they're doing, that's from like the 70s. You know, that's old.
Ooh,
so they even say, hey, we've perfected this recently. So they've known for decades how to do this. I mean, even though, you know, we've got Steve Jobs, the neurosurgeon who does all this stuff for us. At the same time, you know, you could find somebody else, you know, to do this. You know, theoretically, you could keep going. You could keep going on, even though the patriarchs of the system and the whole thing has fallen down and everyone's dead. There's still all this other family that's like a part of that. So, like, I from what I've read, Jordan Peele is like, no, I don't want to go down that avenue again. He's doing like apparently a trilogy of movies that are going to be kind of like social commentary. So I'm glad, you know, that he's not going down that again. You know, it's kind of like what we talked about with David Robert Mitchell with It Follows. It's like, dude, this is great, high concept, low budget, but don't visit this again right now because you're on a hot streak. Like, go and do some other things and then maybe come back to it.
Right.
But that always bothered me because I like Logan, or I like oh god, now I'm Andre. Thank you. These dual person. Names are fucking I like Andre's, like, as a character. We see that kind of thing. Like he's kind of how we know how this thing works the whole time. So to not get that resolution did kind of bother me. But at the same time, I just assume that, you know, they say that they've perfected it, but at the same time, I don't know how well I trust that. You know, I don't know if these people could fight their way through, or if he does the same thing as Walter does, like later on. I don't know, but I did kind of want to see that wrapped up. I was a little disappointed I didn't see that.
Do you think maybe it's symbolic that Andre doesn't come out of it? I mean, like, if Look at Chris. Chris is like the only person out of like how many people to like come out of it. And if you do follow the metaphor that this is about, you know, oppressed black people, then I mean it's 1 out of 20 that does get away. You know, that escapes this kind of stuff.
It's like, just because Chris's story is over, it's like, dude, there's still so many other people that are affected by this. Like, there's more. It's more than just me. Yeah.
Get Out. That's it. Fucking Get Out by Jordan Peele. Dude, give us your... actually, I do have a comment. One comment. This one is funny. Liana Fallon, who she scathed It Follows last week. She's like, now this is a brilliant movie. I was getting when you started your features with It Follows. Oh, sorry. I was getting worried when you started your features with It Follows, but this is solid as fuck. Well done, Liana. Dude, give us your closing thoughts, Matthew.
Ooh, all right. Yeah, man. Like I've been saying, I feel like this is one of those first candidates in the renaissance of horror films. Like, we're gonna start getting these really good ones. The fact that this was such a massive success, I think, is going to be nothing but good too, because it's going to push forward that, people actually want intelligent horror movies and well-made stories. Like, cool, we can do that now. Here's the money. Because did you guys ever look up the budget versus the box office receipt on this?
Oh, yes.
Colin loves to test me with that shit, but I already know about this shit, man. Ooh. It is huge. Like, this thing was This thing was a juggernaut, man. Like 4.5 versus 255. That's insane.
That's massive. And that's always, the Blumhouse productions, that's always kind of been their thing, is to do very low budget, $2 to $3 to $4 million movies. And when they are a success, boy, it's just like hand over fist on the profit. So that's pretty dope. Like, I think this is going to be a leading example of, like, nope, people are actually into not just movies that are splattered with gore or psychological horror where it was actually the main character the whole time. They're crazy. Who gives a shit? Like, a more interesting, unique story. And this is just a fucking fantastic example of that. I feel like it touches on these, like, real world racial issues in a way that highlights them and shows you the kind of pain and awkwardness involved in all of it, and then explodes that into an even crazier metaphor, I think, really fucking well, really intelligently. And it's just, all the performances are good. The actual horror beats and the jump scares are all great. Like, it gets I think one of the best things about this movie is that it gets all of those basic horror movie fundamentals really done well. It does all of those well, and that gives it time to focus on telling its own kind of unique story too. Like it's not busy trying to figure out, oh, how are we going to scare them in the next 5 minutes? Like it's not worried about that. It knows that like the dramatic tension of what these people are actually up to, and Chris slowly figuring it out, is terrifying enough, and it's solid, man. It's just such a fucking good movie.
For sure, dude. Colin?
This movie's like a bottle of wine to me. It's like you can open the bottle and you can, I guess a better analogy would be like horror movies in this way are like a bottle of wine to me. You can crack it open, you can chug it, and you can get a headache really quick and get nauseous, or you can open it, let it breathe, pour it, let it sit for a second, sip on it, and enjoy it. And this movie does that really well, where most of our horror movies, to touch on like what Matt was saying, oh, is that guy the whole time? Something like The Number 23. And, not only are those terrible concepts, but even movies that don't... even movies that aren't high concept still have there's a lot of gore, or there's a lot of things that we've come to expect in horror movies, and those things are fine, but now we're getting used to them. I think I said this in the It Follows episode. We're not scared by stuff anymore. We just think it's fucking awesome. Right. Like we're not terrified by these things. I know I am. I grew up, like Matt talked about at the beginning of the episode, grew up on horror, grew up watching Freddy Krueger, reading Stephen King, John Carpenter, and just engulfing this stuff by the gallons. And I am desensitized to it. It doesn't bother me. When a movie like this comes along that like a bottle of wine is good taste, it's not something that you just chug, it's kind of like take a modern horror movie like something like Happy Death Day or Valentine's Day or something that's come out. Those are almost like beer. Those are almost like energy
something
drinks.
That's totally disposable, right?
Right. You just crack it open and chug it, and you don't really care because you're fucked up. Versus something like Get Out, you want some, you have to have a patience for it, and not even a whole lot of patience. This is not something where you're like, what the fuck is going on, dude? This is boring. It's not boring at all, and it's very hard to do a movie that keeps you guessing the whole time and isn't just something that's like super fucking boring, like something like almost like What Lies Beneath with Harrison Ford and Michelle Pfeiffer. Like I like that movie, but it can get boring in a way, and it's kind of like, okay, dude, like I don't really even care anymore. I've been sitting here for an hour. I want to know what happens. Versus a movie like this that will age extremely well, because this movie, you can almost argue that this movie can take place in any of the last 10 years. I mean, there's nothing that, okay, well, it's so dated because of the soundtrack or because we see them using a beeper or a fax machine or something like that. I think it'll end up being timeless because of not only the social commentary, but a high concept that we really haven't seen since Being John Malkovich. But even though it's similar to Being John Malkovich, it's nothing like it at the same time. Jordan Peele even sat down and talked with Spike Jonze about the fact that their concepts were similar, and Spike Jonze didn't give a shit. He's like, no, that's cool, man. That's totally that's a whole different thing. In fact, there's a really interesting fan theory that this and Being John Malkovich take place in the same universe. I can't get into all that shit. It's really complicated, but oh, wow. Jordan Peele apparently was like, nah. He's like, I'll take that. He's like, I'll take the fact that they that this kind of thing exists. Basically. That this kind of technology and these things can kind of exist in, that this is almost a sequel to Being John Malkovich in a way. He's like, that wasn't my intention. He's like, but somebody else drew those kind of lines and I'm fucking totally fine with it. Which is what I love. I love when a director's like that. But I think this is great. I'll probably own it at some point, just because it was such a milestone for Zoe to get me to watch. And I've been slowly kind of building up like a bigger Blu-ray collection. I've been a DVD stubborn asshole for like years. So I'm finally converting over to Blu-ray, and I think I'll end up getting this. I'd say I'd give it like an 8.5 out of 10, just for me personally. I think that it was a hair overhyped, just a little bit. The hype will scare me, man. The hype will scare me away from movies. It just does. It does. And but I think that for 99% of this, it lived up to the hype, and I'm very appreciative for that. And thank you again for making me watch it.
Awesome, dude. Matt, just out of interest, what would you give it?
Ooh,
if you had to score it. I mean, like, if you don't really need to, I mean, you know, a number.
Fuck that. He has to do it, Zoheb. He has to.
I'm here. I'm on your
saying,
territory.
Like, a number value isn't really indicative of what you feel, but, like, I mean, I guess, like, for the plebs out there who are like, give it a number value so I can skip to the end. Like that shit.
I would definitely, off the top of my head, solid 8. A solid 8.
Yeah, nice.
It's definitely up there. It's just I still don't think it quite, like, if I'm going to go as a horror fanatic and be like, especially put it up among horror movies or horror movies I want to own, it's in there. It's in the collection, but it's not in, like, my top 10, I'll admit. But I still think it's worthy of its place among horror films, and it's solid.
Nice. I do want to touch on something that you mentioned earlier, Matt, about Blumhouse. So yeah, Blumhouse have been kind of killing it lately in the horror perspective. They do almost only horror / thrillers. So dude, they did Upgrade. They did they're doing Halloween. So Halloween's getting really, really good reviews. This new one. Ooh. They did Split. Like they're fucking killing it, man. They did Hush. Another studio that's really, really interesting and something that people really got to look out for is A24.
Oh yeah.
So they did Hereditary, man. That shit is terrifying. Like
it's crazy.
it's a weird kind of terrifying. But this movie, man, if I had to score it, I would give it a 9. It is, I think it's close to perfect. It's not quite perfect, but I mean, this is Jordan Peele's first movie. Like yeah. that's fucking impressive. Outstanding. Written and directed, man. Like that when he got up and won the Oscar, I was like, I am proud of you, man. Like you did so well. And it was just like a really big cultural sort of achievement, I think, as well. Totally. It was nominated for Best Picture, Best Actor, and I think those two were really well deserved. But yeah, man, this movie's outstanding. I can't. It's very unique. Like I said earlier, I really haven't seen this concept done anywhere else. Colin, you might have because you've seen more than me. I mean, like you guys mentioned being John Malkovich, but I haven't really seen that, so I'm coming at this like really, really cleanly. And it just keeps you guessing until like the moments that it wants to let you know, hey, this is actually what's going on. The way the tension's built up, very Hitchcockian, very, very suspenseful, very tense. Great performances from Kaluuya and what's her name? Alison
Williams.
Something. Alison Williams. And the parents too, man. Holy shit, they're fucking fantastic. But yeah, this is an achievement in horror, I think. And is it? Would you say it's like it's not a traditional horror though? A lot of people would be like, it's a thriller, but I would say that it's an actual horror.
Yeah, I would too. Yeah, I think of it as a horror film.
It feels like old school horror. It feels like, in a weird way, the loss of your identity, the loss of who you are. It feels very,
helplessness, right?
Right. It feels, like Poe and Lovecraft, like kind of like dread, just this dread of losing everything that you are, but not losing it enough that you don't. Like, it's not like, oh, you die, and then at least there's some relief in your death. No, you have to stay and be a passenger in it. True. Like, Jesus Christ, dude. It's like, one of the creepiest lines I always think of are, there are fates worse than death. And it's like, dude, that's one of them. Like, that's one of the worst fates you can imagine. Just a lifelong, torment and torture of this. But yeah, I think, and I mean, it, regardless of how you feel about it as a horror film, or if it's a thriller or a suspense thing, it's absolutely a cultural landmark. It was a huge it was a huge step forward in things because, I mean, for one thing, Jordan Peele was the first African American, I think, like writer, director, and producer to make a horror film that got over $100 million. Dude, $100 million ain't shit to get a movie anymore. I mean, that's just making almost like a good movie these days.
First American African American to win in that category for Oscars.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, not only is the film with its subject matter a cultural landmark, but at the same time with Jordan Peele, and it's great seeing him from doing these, oh yeah, he's the funny guy who does impressions of Barack Obama. It's like, no, this guy can make a damn good movie. And you know, when you can be serious and you can be funny at the same time, dude, that is a left-right combo that's going to fucking put people down.
For sure.
And I'm really happy to see that he's doing something like this, and really look forward to whatever he's going to do next.
For sure. I'm really keen for Us. Oh, by the way, I actually really dig his Barack Obama.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's like a clip where he's just like meeting like white people, and they're like, he's like welcoming the black. He's like, come on. Oh, man. We've beaten this horse to death. Get Out was really awesome, man. Love this movie. Great movie. Really fun to cover it. Matt, thank you so much for jumping onto this episode, dude.
Yes, thank you.
We're so glad to have you, dude.
Happy to be here, man. This was fun.
Give us a plug for LSG. Give us a plug for whatever you're doing now. What are you up to?
Well, right now, kind of like what I was talking about when you brought it up earlier in the Illuminati, I'm getting ready to record the next session of that tomorrow. We're all going to be together again doing the next. I guess it'll probably be edited into 3 more episodes again, 2 or 3 more episodes. But we'll be doing that. So that's the thing I'm probably excited the most about lately that we're doing, is we're actually playing a role-playing game. The system we're using is Monster of the Week, which is also what the Adventure Zone is currently using. So if anybody has listened to that, you'll be familiar with how that plays out. We all got to work on our characters, work on our character voices, decide what we're going to be doing next. It's just a totally new thing for us, and it's a ton of fun. And like I was saying, $5 a month, and then you're a member, and then you can hear those episodes, or you can be one of the plebes and wait like another 9 months. But I'm super pumped about it. It's a good fucking time.
For sure, dude. And you can find LSG Media pretty much on every social media platform, right? Like, I mean, Facebook, you got the LSG Media Film Group, which anyone can join.
Oh, yeah.
But then if you're in Illuminati, you get an exclusive bonus page, which, again, is a cult. They're on Instagram. They're on Twitter. I think the lovely Damaris manages those.
She does. And Pinterest.
Yes, and Pinterest. Maria's on that one, I think. Or what? Yeah, those two are the greatest. But yeah, Midnight Double Feature, you can find us on Facebook. We got 2 pages. That's the After Party and Midnight Double Feature. The After Party is where we post all our fucking memes and our news and shit like that. It's kind of our cult. Maybe we can join cults one day. Have a little cult party.
Merging robes.
Yep, yeah. We're on Instagram. That's at Midnight Double Feature. We're on Twitter. That's at MDF Pod. You can listen to us on YouTube. You can listen to us on Spotify. Pretty much anywhere. Again, this was fucking fun, guys. Do you guys have anything else to say?
Ooh, I'm tapped out, man. This is a good time.
Tapped out.
Yeah, absolutely. Just thanks for Matt coming on. Doors always open. Anybody from LSG is always fucking welcome in this house. So if you guys ever want to hop on, just say the word, man.
Hell yeah.
You can bet your sweet ass we're going to reach out to you again.
As long as it's a good movie. Don't you be picking me some shitty Freddy movie like Freddy #7 or some dog shit.
Don't you put me on RoboCop 2.
Don't you dare. What do you think about it?
All right, guys, we're gonna jump off here. Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you next time.